begins in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the palatial yet not overly ostentatious studios of the Infinity Sports Network here in beautiful New York City, sitting on top of the 10th floor, 345 Hudson Street. Welcome on in to another week and a Monday edition of the Zach Gelb Show across all the great local Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM, Channel 375, the free Odyssey app, and of course, streaming live on YouTube. 855-212-4227 is the number to jump on in. That's 855-212-4227. You could always get at me on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool of Twitter at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. Legendary college basketball coach at Kansas and UNC. Roy Williams is going to join us coming up an hour from now. And then the final hour of the show at 5:20 p.m. Eastern, 2:20 p.m. Pacific time. The head men's basketball coach of the number one ranked Auburn Tigers in Bruce Pearl, who had a big victory at Alabama, who was number 2 in the country this past weekend. He's going to join us as well. So a lot of people are irate today. A lot of people are annoyed with the garbage product that was the NBA All-Star Weekend. I think a lot of people would expect me to go crazy, go nuts, lose my mind, and rip the commissioner. Don't worry. I may try to be calm today. You may try to have a little Zen Zach today. But no one should be surprised with what has transpired with NBA All-Star Weekend. And here's what I don't get. What else were you expecting? I understand the weekend sucked, right? When Victor Wembanyama and Chris Paul are trying to basically rig what was the skill competition. The three-point contest, whatever. I usually like it. And the slam dunk contest, how many times are you going to see Mac McClung participate in it? And you have no star presence in that dunk contest. And you need star presence. But here's why I am not furious today where I'm going to yell. Like, internally, I'm furious. It was a garbage product. It was a garbage weekend. The format makes absolutely zero sense on the All-Star game, where you have something where a lot of these players don't want to participate in. They don't want to give max effort. So stop trying to fix it. Just go east-west, have them play, and if the final score is 222 to 210, whatever, so be it. But to come up with this tournament where you have the OGs and then you have the rising stars, it's like too much. And then you have these halftimes for a game that's just a 40 between one game to the next, where you just delay. And how many times? This is what really pissed me off the most. I like Kevin Hart, but can we stop dragging Kevin Hart out each and every All-Star weekend? His jokes aren't funny. He's used all of his material already. And I don't need to hear him and Shaq and Charles Barkley make 10,000 short jokes and tall jokes. It's like enough for Kevin Hart already. That was like a bad Saturday Night Live skit. That's what it was watching the NBA All-Star game. And Draymond's ripping the product. You got LeBron, by the way, where here's what is ridiculous. LeBron James, right? You can never criticize the king. You can never have anything that makes LeBron James look bad. Think about how selfish he is. Even though this is a joke, and I mean a joke of an All-Star game, and the weekend is a bunch of nonsense now. He tells you a few hours before the game, oh yeah, I'm not going to play. I'm dealing with an injury. Like he woke up that morning and was like, oh, I'm in pain. I can't play. Give me a break. So that's LeBron James. Go there, right? Everyone give him a standing ovation, genuflect, take all your photos, and he's entitled to it, right? He's the second greatest player of all time. But that's just typical NBA. where that's what annoys me the most. And this is why I'm not surprised by it. And I said I wasn't going to yell. I said I wasn't going to go crazy. I'm just a New Yorker. This is how I speak. It's very loudly. But the NBA constantly just spits in the faces of their fans. And that's something I won't tolerate. So if you have NBA players that don't give a rat's ass about the regular season, what am I supposed to be outraged that they don't give a rat's ass about the All-Star game? And they don't care about All-Star weekend? And think about this, right? Look how we look back on the life of Kobe Bryant, which I still can't believe Kobe unfortunately lost his life in that tragic plane incident and accident. I still can't believe it. But Kobe Bryant never took a day off. The All-Star Game trophy is named after the MVP, is named after Kobe Bryant. And all these players sit there and they talk about how they idolize Kobe Bryant. Well, you know what's the best way to show your respect and pay your respects to Kobe Bryant and honor Kobe Bryant? By actually giving a rat's ass during the All-Star game. So the whole thing's a joke. And we could sit here, and when I saw the front office sports column, that's like ways that we could change the All-Star game. Does anyone actually think they're going to do this one-on-one competition? That would be cool if you did 1v1. And ironically, you saw James Harden and Kyrie Irving, two guys that don't give a rat's ass about the fans. They actually threw their support behind it. And I saw Giannis Antetokounmpo sort of did so as well. But this is a sport, and this is because of the commissioner. This is all in the commissioner. And there's a reason why, and I'm glad a lot of you are finally starting to see what I saw years ago, why I have called the commissioner spineless silver. This commissioner had the easiest start to his tenure and the most obvious decision that was made possible when you had that racist pig in Donald Sterling said what he said, and he got praised so much in Adam Silver, like he actually did something that took balls. And he actually did something that was tough to do by kicking out Donald Sterling out of the sport. You had no choice but to do that. But since he started his tenure out that way, we have overrated this commissioner like no other. I'm not a fan of Rob Manfred. I can't stand Rob Manfred's guts, and I know Rob doesn't like me. Rob Manfred is a better commissioner than Adam Silver. For years, I hated Roger Goodell. It's not even close. Roger Goodell is the best commissioner in sports. Gary Bettman, who's had 7,000 lockouts, he's the second best commissioner in sports. And because Manfred had this pitch clock that's actually worked, he's the third best commissioner in sports. And then where's Adam Silver? Let me look below. Can I find him? How's the weather down there, Adam Silver? That's where he is. He's fourth. And this dude has just allowed the players to walk all over him. I've never seen a sport that spits more in the fans' faces than the NBA. And it's because of one man and one man only. And that is Adam Silver, who has these innovative ideas. Spineless Silver. Oh, we'll change the All-Star game format. Yeah, that was a real success last night. It sucked. And why did it suck? It's because why should I expect players to go all out in an All-Star game? Why should I expect them to actually care when your regular season product is a joke? And that's the real root of this issue. If you don't get players that care about the regular season, why would they care about some bullcrap exhibition? Why? Why would they? They don't. But, good on this commissioner because he has an in-season tournament. Oh, yeah, it's wonderful that the Lakers and the Bucks the last 2 years won the in-season participation trophy tournament. Because these players get paid enough money. Hockey players aren't making this. NFL players aren't making this. You look at what, a middle-of-the-road NBA player is making and collects a paycheck and never plays. So why should anyone be shocked by this? And you know what? I like hockey more than I like basketball. I'm not anti-basketball. I love March Madness. I love college basketball. I look at the NBA. I love the NBA offseason. I love the NBA playoffs. But the regular season, yawn. The regular season, boring. The regular season, it blows. That's just the truth. And I'm very happy that the NHL, and it's so on brand for the NHL and it's so on brand for the NBA. The NBA is going to take a beating for what happened the last 72 hours. And you know what? Kevin Durant, do us a favor. Shut your mouth. All right? I see KD getting on social media and it's like, everyone's just complaining instead of watching. What do you want us to watch from All-Star Weekend? The court gave you a headache when you had a blue court with blue jerseys. You had Mr. Beast out there, and he was terrible live. The only good thing about that All-Star weekend is that kid hit the half-court shot because Damian Lillard couldn't make three, and I think Dame was trying to help him out. And this kid, as they were about to go to commercial break, drills a half-court shot to win $100,000. And you have this send-off for inside the NBA when they're still going to be around. Nothing was right. And you know what, KD? It's not the fans just bitching. Draymond Green, right, who you pretend to like, but we all know you don't actually like. Draymond Green said this was the worst thing he's ever seen. And the format was terrible. It's just amazing how there's no accountability amongst the NBA players. And KD's tweet, that's what annoys me. I think it's more fun to complain about the NBA than actually to watch it. Crazy. Cancel All-Star Weekend, and let's just give everybody a break since we're so miserable around this time. You know what? There's actually some truth in that. All these players would want a break, but what do you need a break from? You guys take a break for 82 games in the regular season. Come on. I promised myself I wasn't going to yell. I promised myself I wasn't going to freak out. But it's amazing. And why does this happen? It's because this commissioner has no backbone. This commissioner has no spine. This commissioner has no balls. He doesn't. And Spineless Silver lets the players walk all over him. And guess what happens when that transpires? You get a lazy, crappy, putrid product. The regular season blows. The in-season tournament blows. The regular season is terrible. So wake me up when it's Real Housewives of the NBA and we all pay attention to the drama show that is the offseason, which I like. And then the postseason, that's fun too. But the regular season, you may as well trim it. You may as well cut it down to like 65 games. But you know why you won't do that? Because you love spitting the fans' face. You love making the fans pay for those 82 regular season games. And I don't know. You got players with load management, players not caring, players going through the motions. It's just a joke. You know, out of the four major sports, say what you want about the NHL, and I get it, the NHL is not the most popular. The NHL regular season's awesome. The NFL regular season's awesome. Major League Baseball, it's long, but you never know what to expect. And no team is ever out of it. The NBA's biggest problem is they allowed, right, in a sport when it was 8 teams that only make the playoffs, and you felt like you didn't need to see half of them in there anyway, they said, oh, we're going to reward losing even more. So we're going to have a play-in tournament because 82 regular season games isn't enough when it's more than enough. So we're going to have a play-in tournament and reward losing and reward people half-assing it. And right, wasn't that supposed to stop tanking? Oh, Adam Silver's a genius. Hey, we'll prevent tanking. How'd that work a few years ago with the Mavericks? How did it? So is this Commissioner Adam Silver? I'll ask you a simple question. Has he done anything right since Donald Sterling? Has there been one thing? You know, dead air and radio is not good, so I'll just say Bueller, 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 Bueller. He's done nothing right. This commissioner is horrible. This commissioner just lets the players walk all over him and embarrass him. And when you do that, and when the players are running the show, you get a regular season product that's a snooze fest. You get an all-star game, that's a snooze fest. And you know why they all love Adam Silver? Because he's a doormat. That's what he is. He's a doormat. David Stern had control of this league. Adam Silver, he has zero. I'll say it again. Zero control. And he's terrible. Like, just look at the bleep show of this weekend. From the skills competition to how long the All-Star game actually went, the Fugazi format, and LeBron. LeBron just hocking a loogie into everybody's face and screwing over another roster spot. Someone else could have taken that spot. And I get it. All hail the king. The king can do no wrong. Oh, please. Pathetic. That was a joke. And good in the NHL with this tournament that they created. And that's been fun, right? USA and Canada. And something that's really meaningless, right? If you think about it. You put that together on Saturday night. You had an awesome game. People weren't talking about the dunk contest. I'll tell you that. People weren't talking about the three-point competition. My social media was hockey, 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 hockey. And those Canadians that I know are on in Canada, you don't boo our national anthem. And if you do, we kick your ass. 3 fights right to start up the game, and then we beat you. That was redemption when I was a kid, and I saw Richter lose the gold medal game. That was redemption after Parisi scored, and then Crosby. Doesn't it suck, Sidney Crosby? You lost to the USA. USA, USA, USA. I'm proud to be an American, and I love beating up on the Canadians because we never do it. And that's their sport, and we stomped you out. And probably coming up on Thursday when you play us in the gold medal game or whatever it's called, the championship, you'll probably beat us. But guess what? If we beat you, your little brother in your sport. So the NHL, those players care. The NHL, those players have pride. Most of the NBA players, they just collect the paycheck. They have no pride, and they spit in the fans' faces. And that's what they constantly do. And the guy that I'm going to go after is Adam Silver. That spineless commissioner, spineless Silver. Because this dude has no control of his league. I don't think he could fix his league even if I gave him the answer. This dude right now can mess up a one-car funeral procession. But you know what? I would love to be as incompetent as he is if I got paid his salary. And everyone, all the players, they love him. They love him. Oh, he's the greatest thing ever. We love Adam. He's wonderful. Seriously. I'm trying to think, what are the things that Adam Silver has done outside of Donald Sterling that was good for the league? The only other thing I could think of, and I didn't care, right, if people were going to protest or not, that's your right. But when you had the national anthem controversy and all the other sports had protests, for some reason you didn't really see that in the NBA. So maybe that was the one time the commissioner actually put his foot down and didn't make something an issue that to me wasn't really that big of a deal. But this commissioner, he stinks. He sucks. He's terrible. And I love today that people are saying, hey, Zach, you're right. I love that. Because I pointed this out years ago. And people go, oh, what's your obsession with hating this commissioner? I go, what's my obsession? He sucks. And there's nothing that he does right. He is miserable. Miserable, miserable, miserable. All righty, Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network. I don't think I yelled too much there during that segment. I think it was pretty calm, right? You tune into this show, you got a boring, monotone radio host that has zero energy. Roy Williams going to join us coming up at the top of the hour. Bruce Pearl will stop by at 5:20 p.m. Eastern, 2:20 p.m. Pacific time today. If you want to jump on board, 855-212-4227. You could always tweet me at Zach Gelb. Get me on Instagram, too, at Zach Gelb, ZACHGELB. When we come on back, there's a lot of smoke when it comes to the Rams trading Matthew Stafford. Well, I'm not buying it. We'll get into that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
Alrighty, 23 past the hour. Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network. Coming up at the top of the hour, Roy Williams will stop by at 5:20 p.m. Eastern Time today, 2:20 p.m. Pacific. Bruce Pearl, the number one ranked Auburn Tigers, their head men's basketball coach, will join us too. So, Stu, you're a Laker fan, but from our conversations, I think this is a fair assessment. With all the drama with LeBron James, you kind of went into last offseason not really caring if LeBron was back or not. And I think you've kind of reached your limit of LeBron James. You weren't upset when he came back.
No.
But to see what he pulled yesterday, the king.
Yeah.
And I know the king could do no wrong. And how dare you tug at the throne of the king. But for him to tap out of this All-Star game, we got a second half of the season. We got a big push in the Wild Wild West and all that stuff. Why didn't he make that decision on Tuesday? Why didn't he make that decision on Wednesday? They could have given that spot to another person. And I know this All-Star game is a bunch of bullcrap anyway, but there's someone else that probably would have wanted that spot. And LeBron James was like, nope, you're not getting it because I'm going to be selfish, and then announce, what was it, like 2-3 hours before the game in a press conference that he's not playing. Just crazy.
I think he just wants the attention. That's why he waited. If he announced, 3, 4, 5 days ago he wasn't going to play, then there's less attention on LeBron. LeBron isn't there, all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm really tired of LeBron. And
I don't blame you.
Here are the two things that annoys me with LeBron. I did not care about him going to the Miami Heat right? That never bugged me. I didn't like the way that he announced it, but I understood what he was doing. He thought he maxed out in Cleveland, and he went to Miami, won 2 championships, and then came back to Cleveland and won it all. So I think we look back differently at that. But, and also I'll give credit to LeBron, and I know recently in LA he's had some injuries, but he's never really participated in load management. I've been very, very pro LeBron. But I think the biggest problem that he has, the 2 biggest problems that he's had, the 2 things that I'm annoyed about is, one, he was a little putty cat when it came to doing the dunk contest and never did that, which I just think is disgraceful. And this is what happens. Not everyone is LeBron James, but when LeBron James doesn't do the dunk contest, there's a trickle-down effect where there's people that think they're in the same class, or because Bron didn't do it, that means I don't have to do it. So I thought it was always gutless that LeBron James never did the dunk contest. And you know what also annoys me? I don't want to call him a phony, but I like a superstar that has a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. Like, I love Kobe Bryant, right? I love Kobe Bryant because he wanted to step on the court and he wanted to beat the snot out of you. And did he have friends in the league? Yes. But he wasn't looking to make friends. He was looking to beat your ass. That's what he was doing. You look at someone like Michael Jordan, right? Michael Jordan would make up stories about, people being in the restaurant slighting him, and then he would use that as motivation, and none of those stories were ever true. But Michael Jordan wasn't playing the game to be buddy-buddy with people. Have we ever heard LeBron James ever say he disliked a player? A player that's actually worth a damn. And that's a trickle-down effect, too, because now this league is buddy-buddy. There's not a lot of animosity, right? Like Memphis with the Warriors was like one of those things, which is actually good to see. It's a bunch of hold me back, bro, fights that people think they're going to happen that never end up happening. When you have large guys that have one guy holding them back, like, come on, it's ridiculous. And I don't think it's a bad thing if you have a few little fights here and there. Not malice at the palace, but a few little fights here and there are good. But LeBron James just tries to be friends with everybody. Friends with everybody. And it creates this culture of the NBA where there's no great rivalries, there's no real animosity, and it's just a buddy-buddy club. So those are the 2 things, Stu, that really annoys me with LeBron James. He never did the dunk contest, and I respect LeBron, but I don't respect LeBron for that. And then also him just trying to basically be a politician with all the other NBA players, and he doesn't say a bad word about them. Who has LeBron said a bad word about? Maybe, who was it, Lance Stevenson or Stevens, whatever his guy's name was, when he was blowing in his ear with Indiana. And what's it, Bum Brooks, too?
Yeah, Dylan Brooks, yeah.
And those 2 guys are a pimple on LeBron James's ass, if we're being honest. Can you have another top player that there's some animosity with? Now, rivalries are good for sports. You don't have to hate someone, but rivalries are good. You look at Paul Pierce. He's ridiculous. Paul Pierce hates LeBron. He hates the Heat. I think that stuff's good for sports. So those are my 2 biggest gripes, Stu, with LeBron's career. The dunk contest, and he just tries to be buddy-buddy and shake everybody's hand.
Yeah, and I think also I'll add that it's always drama, I feel like. It's not Cowboys level, but it's always like, just case in point last night. Like, all that wasn't necessary.
No.
I'm sure he didn't wake up Sunday morning with the injury. I'm sure he had it for a few days. If he knew this, he should have bowed out and let someone else have the roster spot.
100%. And you know what annoys me? This is where I at least respect Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones knows what he's doing. And he admits he knows what he's doing. Right? Jerry Jones doesn't, he may sound clueless, but he doesn't act as if he's clueless when people call him out on his BS. LeBron, if you ever call him out on his BS, is oh, how could you accuse me of doing something like that? And he's a drama whore. He's a heck of a father, right? Great family man. Won all these championships, one of the greatest players of all time, but you know what you're doing. And that was a drama whore move by LeBron James yesterday. Anyway, I got to get to this Matthew Stafford stuff. Now, the Rams have had a lot of drama as of late, right? Even before Donald retired, there was rumors for years that Aaron Donald was going to retire, right? That Super Bowl that they won, I don't know what was true, but Rodney Harrison said, hey, I spoke to Aaron Donald, and he said this may be his last game, like things like that. Sean McVay, Mr. GQ, right, won a Super Bowl. He's going to go to Fox, or he's going to retire, reset the market, come back like 5 years from now. There's been retirement rumors about him. Matthew Stafford, there's been retirement rumors about him. Matthew Stafford's 37 years old, and I feel as if right now people expect him to get traded. I hosted locally yesterday on The Fan in New York, and they're Giant fans that think Matthew Stafford's coming to the New York Giants. So two things. Number one, why would the Rams trade Matthew Stafford? And two, if they trade him, why would you go to the Giants? You have control in where you're going to go. The Giants right now, sure, you got Malik Neighbors, who's a star. Yeah, you got the young running back, Tracy, who did a good job this year, Tyron Tracy. You don't have a good offensive line. You got a coach who's on the hot seat, and you're nowhere close to actually winning. So I said this last week, I'll say it again. The only thing I could think of why Matthew Stafford would be interested in going to the New York market is maybe that helps him down the road in the Hall of Fame, getting the New York media behind him. But if that's the case, wouldn't you rather go to the Jets that have more talent than the stinking Giants, who also have a need at quarterback because the Aaron Rodgers split happened? And also, if I'm Matthew Stafford and I'm getting traded, sorry Jets, sorry Giants, Pittsburgh. Well, wouldn't you rather go to Pittsburgh? You got George Pickens there. You got a professional coach in Mike Tomlin. Aaron Glenn, people like him, but he's an unknown. And you look at the Giants, Brian Daboll's in the hot seat. And Matthew Stafford with the Steelers, can he win a playoff game there? Yeah. Gives the Steelers their best chance to win a playoff game since the last time they'd done so in 2016. But I once again go back to this root of the question. Why the heck would the Rams trade Matthew Stafford right now? Where are you going? If you get rid of Matthew Stafford, I think this is all contract negotiations. That's what I think it is. Stafford's trying to get more money. The Rams are probably playing a little hardball with him, and they'll eventually meet in the middle, and they'll restructure this deal. And they'll make it work for both parties because it makes too much sense. But if you're the Rams, why would you move on? And if you do move on, where are you going? You're not bringing in Kirk Cousins when he becomes available. That's not an upgrade. Matthew Stafford right now is probably the 7th best quarterback in football. Right? Mahomes is 1, Allen's 2, Lamar's 3, Burrow 4, Jalen Hurts 5, Jaden Daniels 6, and then I would say Stafford 7. And if you go, you want to put one more person in there, then at worst he's 8th. He's still the 8th best quarterback in football. At the absolute latest, probably 7th. I think he's 7th. And he was just on a divisional round team that almost in the snow in Philadelphia pulled off the upset and the comeback up against the eventual Super Bowl champions. So why wouldn't you run it back for one more year? And the Rams, where are you going if you get rid of Matthew Stafford? You're not bringing any of these older guys like Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, Russell Wilson. None of those guys right now today are better than Matthew Stafford. So is your grand plan, Sean McVay? This is the only thing I can think of. And I'm going to table maybe moving up in the draft because that's a lot of moving pieces. Is it to go get Sam Darnold? And why would you bring in Sam Darnold, who just showed you in Minnesota, he could have a very good regular season, but at the end of the season, when the games matter more and then come playoff time, he went back to being Mono Sam. He went back to be seeing Ghost Sam that he was with the New York Jets, Jets. Matthew Stafford, say what you want about him. The guy recently won you a Super Bowl. He won you a Super Bowl. He was your missing piece. You said goodbye to Jared Goff. Hello, Matthew Stafford. You won a Super Bowl. And he could probably play for 2 more years. So I'm just surprised by all of this all around. Why the Rams would even contemplate this and why Stafford would ever want to leave. And if he does want to leave, I was talking to Herm Edwards yesterday when I was on The Fan in New York City. And he was like, hey, if the Giants go get him, give up whatever it takes and load up the private jet. And I was like, really? And he goes, yeah, have you seen the Giants record the last 3 or 4 years? And that's tough to debate. But why would Stafford want to go there? Why would Stafford want to be a New York football Giant? So I think this is a lot of bull junk. I think this is a lot of hogwash. And I do believe that inevitably you're going to see the Rams and Matthew Stafford come to a new contract agreement. They'll alter that contract, and they will have him be a Ram for the rest of his career. Because there's still a window to win, and Matthew Stafford, with all the available options out there, is still the best option for the LA Rams. Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network will come on back. It is a Monday. We'll do some onside, offside questions. Update time first. Here's Zach.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
And it's sponsored by Progressive. Your small business keeps you on the go. Progressive Commercial Insurance keeps your policy within reach with their easy-to-use mobile app. Learn more at progressivecommercial.com. The only action right now is Hockey, the Four Nations Tournament, which has really been a spark for the NHL, and Canada looking to move into the final where they'll face the United States on Thursday night. They are in control in the third period, leading Finland by a score of 4-0. U.S. already clinching the spot in the final. They will face off against Sweden tonight. And also, Matthew Tkachuk is sitting this one out. Chris Kreider replaces him in the lineup. Auburn, number one in the nation again after beating second-ranked Alabama Saturday. Duke will be third, Florida is second. Duke is third, remaining in that spot. The Blue Devils are in action tonight at Virginia. Also tonight, Arizona meets Baylor in Waco. The Mets' Frankie Montas is out 6 to 8 weeks with a high-grade lat strain, while Red Sox third baseman Rafael Devers says he's not moving off that spot despite the signing of Alex Bregman to a 3-year, $120 million deal. I'm Rich Acker.
Hey, like us on Facebook. Our handle is INF Sportsnet. That's INF Sportsnet for our Facebook page. This is the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
And it's time to ask the pros, where you, the listener, gets to ask us a question brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Simply tweet your question at INF Sportsnet or at Zach Gelb using the hashtag #AskThePros. Be listening later in the show when we might answer your question. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Roy Williams going to join us coming up 20 minutes from now. The legendary Kansas and UNC basketball coach Bruce Pearl will stop by at 5:20 p.m. Eastern time today, 2:20 p.m. Pacific. But without further ado, and I'm not talking about Freddie Adu. Stu's got some questions for me. I'll hopefully give you some answers. We'll get to a little onside offside on this Monday right now.
Zach's taking on the most polarizing issues in sports. Which side of the line of scrimmage will he end up on?
Offside. Defense number 69.
It's Onsides, Offsides with Zach Gelb.
All righty, Stuart, what do we got cooking today?
All right, so the Myles Garrett sweepstakes are heating up as teams get ready for the combine and start preparing for the draft. According to DraftKings, the Commanders are currently the favorites to land Garrett at plus 300, followed by the Eagles, Bills, Lions, and Bears. Onsides, offsides, if the Commanders land Garrett, they will be a top 2 team in the NFC.
They were just in the NFC Championship game. Now we'll see if they're going to be able to not only replicate that, but improve off of that. If they get Myles Garrett, they'd be a top 2 team in the NFC. See, I still think the Eagles will win that division. And I still think the Lions are slightly better. But what I like more about the Commanders compared to the Lions is I trust Jaden Daniels a lot more than I do Jared Goff. I also think, though, that the Commanders need to add another complementary piece to Terry McLaurin on that offense and go get another wide receiver. So I think that they would be in the running to be one of the top teams in the NFC, but I would still say the Eagles and the Lions would be 1-2 in my book, and I'm curious to see also how the 49ers bounce back this year. So they'd be close, but I would still lean Eagles and I would still lean Lions. When you ask me if the Commanders land Garrett, they'll be a top 2 team in the NFC. I'll just slightly go offside.
Offside.
Next question.
All right, the Jets are still looking for a quarterback, and Miami booster Nevin Shapiro revealed Gang Green was being aggressive in their pursuit to trade up for Cam Ward. Now ESPN's Jeremy Fowler added another name to the list, saying, quote, the Jets once upon a time wanted to sign Kirk Cousins. He's going to be one of the best options, end of quote. Onsides, offsides, Cousins is the best option for the Jets in 2025.
I'm going to go offside here. And I think Kirk Cousins could bounce back and have a solid season. But Kirk Cousins isn't mobile, and that Jets offensive line is still a problem. If I'm the Jets, I do one or two things. I'd either trade up in the draft if you love Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders, because either Tennessee or Cleveland, I think one of them will pass on a quarterback. And if one of them passes on the quarterback and you love the other, and hey, maybe Tennessee passes on a quarterback and then you try to go jump to where the Browns are, or if Tennessee takes a quarterback, then you got to go jump to where the Browns are to prevent the Giants, because if the Giants have a chance to get Shedeur or Cam, they'll take a quarterback at 3. So if you fall in love with either Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders, go get him. But If you don't, then I would do the low-risk, high-reward option of Justin Fields, where you don't have to pay him that much, and you see if you get something out of him in 1 year before you make the big decision next year. If you're bringing back Kirk Cousins, and I don't think they should have kept Aaron Rodgers because he would have undermined, intentionally or not, Aaron Glenn and the new GM Darren Muji. But if you're going to bring in Kirk Cousins, you may as well just have kept Aaron Rodgers. So Cousins is the best option for the Jets in 2025. I'm still going to go offside. I think they either should go get a quarterback in the draft, or you bring in a younger guy like a Justin Fields, or even maybe a reunion with Sam Darnold. Now, I don't think Sam Darnold would contemplate that, but the Jets could contemplate it.
Offside. All right, Justin Tucker is embroiled in a major massage parlor scandal, and despite his emphatic denials of the allegations, things are getting worse for the Ravens kicker. This weekend, 7 new victims stepped forward accusing Tucker of inappropriate sexual behavior during massages, increasing the total number to 16 accusers. Onsides, offsides, the Ravens need to cut Tucker now.
This is probably going to sound insensitive, and I realize that when I'm saying this, but for what should be a big story, it does not feel as if there is national outrage with this story. And public perception plays a role in that. So if it was every day, and I'm not saying that you should enable Justin Tucker, but I don't know what he did or what he didn't do, if I'm just being honest. I have no problem if they do elect to cut him. But since people aren't talking about this daily, I don't think there's any pressure on the Ravens to get rid of him right now. So the Ravens need to cut Tucker now. I wouldn't trust him. I wouldn't believe in him. But no, I don't think they need to cut him right now. I would go offside.
Offsides.
The Warriors are 3-1 since acquiring Jimmy Butler, moving up to 10th place in the West, just 6 games back of the 4 seed. Now the always brash Draymond Green is feeling himself, making a bold prediction.
We were kind of headed in the wrong direction, thinking we figured it out and never figuring it out. And since he's been here, we've walked into every game thinking and believing that we're going to win that game. And so he's brought back that belief, and I think we're going to win the championship.
Say that one more time so that everybody here can
say that with your chest.
I didn't hear you. My earpiece.
Because they added Jimmy Butler the third. So what did you say?
81?
I'm sorry. I said I think we're going to win a championship, but I lied. We are going to win the championship.
Wow.
Now, yesterday, Steph Curry responded and seemed to brush off his teammates' guarantee.
I'm excited. I got Draymond on the telecast guaranteeing we're winning the championship. I love expectations and having something to play for, so he's lighting the fire for sure.
All right, so onsides, offsides. The Warriors with Butler are a top 5 team in the West.
That's a great question. So, I don't think they're better than the Thunder. I don't think they're better than the Nuggets. After that, it's open. I know you could talk about the Grizzlies and the Rockets and the Lakers. We'll see what happens with the Mavericks after this trade. I don't think they're going to be all that good. Timberwolves last year went on a nice run. But to his point, even though it's insufferable how it happened because Jimmy Butler just completely lied, the only reason he was upset in Miami was because they didn't get his contract done. It had nothing to do, what's best for his family and all that nonsense. He didn't like that Pat Riley tried to play a little ball with him. But the Warriors talking about getting their swagger back. I guess I got my swagger back. Ooh. I could kind of feel it as well. And it would be fun to see because I love Steph. Draymond is just a great villain. And Jimmy Butler is a very good player. You don't win a championship with Jimmy Butler as your one, but you can win with him as a complimentary piece. And there's some excitement. So we'll see what happens. Right now, they're the 10th seed, but in Adam Silver's NBA, that gives you a fighting chance to get into the postseason. And if you're a team like the Thunder or the Grizzlies and they end up being on that 7-8 line, I don't know how comfortable you feel about seeing the Warriors with that championship DNA that they have. So the Warriors with Butler are a top 5 team in the West. I think this may be wishful thinking, but I'll go onside. I like wishful thinking.
All right, Mike Trout played just 29 games last year and has missed 491 games over the past 5 seasons. Now, the 3-time AL MVP is making a big change that he hopes will help him stay healthier.
I'm not going to lie. When I saw breaking news about Mike Trout today on social media,
another injury.
I go, oh, what is he, starting the year out on the 60-day injured list?
Yeah, well, instead, he is healthy for now, and he is announcing that he is moving from center field to right field in 2025. So, onsides, offsides, Mike Trout should move to a full-time DH role?
And it eliminates the risk, half the risk of him getting hurt. I would go onside as well. And he's so good with the glove in center field. And we've seen guys move from center field to right field as they get older in their career. But with how often he's injured, I don't usually like to say, basically take away half a player's game. But in this case, I would just make him a full-time DH. And if I'm Mike Trout, it is pointless with him being on the Angels. Could we get you on a team that we actually give a rat's ass about these days? So I'll go onsides. You should make the full-time move to DH.
The Boston Red Sox, they won the Alex Bregman sweepstakes, signing the former Astro star to a 3-year, 100.
Did anyone actually win this? He was on the market for so long. He had to sign somewhere. You know, it's like when you keep on applying for something, they eventually go, we'll give you the award. That's what this is.
He ended up with Boston on a 3-year, $120 million deal. However, the move did create a logjam at third base with 3-time All-Star Rafael Devers already occupying the position. And today, Devers was asked if he'd move for Bregman, saying, quote, "Third base is my position," end quote. But skipper Alex Cora shut that down pretty quickly.
He said when he signed the long-term extension that you guys said that he'd be the third baseman long-term. Do you think the relationship is strained right now? He doesn't seem happy that, the team has gone back on their word.
There's different people here, right? There's a different leader here. So, Haim is in St. Louis right now.
All right, so onsides, offsides, Devers should move positions because Bregman is a better fielder.
So this is tricky because it's Devers' team. And I want to say it's like A-Rod and Jeter, but Jeter wasn't the better player, and Devers I still think is the better player, but Bregman has the better glove. And A-Rod also had the better glove compared to Jeter too. So there's some similarities, some differences. It's not apples to apples, but it's in somewhat of the same zip code. I don't, you hear the way Cora said it, I don't know how much of a choice Devers is going to have. But this is Devers' team. Devers is the better player. Devers is a superstar in that lineup. But Bregman is the better fielder, and it's not even close. So if I'm just doing it based off merit on who is the better fielder, Devers should move positions because Bregman is a better fielder. I would say, yeah, be a better teammate. So I would go on sides on that. And what Chaim Bloom once said, well, he gone. He no longer there. So what does his word mean? All righty, next question.
All right, last one. Since we know how much you love college football playoff expansion, well, Pete Thamel, he joined ESPN Game Day and said that in college basketball, the NCAA tournament is
I was talking to a source.
Pete
Thamel, the cadence on him is just crazy.
Likely to expand from its current 68-team field.
NCAA President Charlie Baker is on the record saying there's been discussions about growing the tournament to either 72 or 76 teams.
Boom!
I had multiple high-ranking sources tell me this week that the more likely option, if the tournament were to expand, would be to 76. The NCAA has been in discussions with its media partners for a while on this now, and a decision on whether it does go to 76 would come in the next few months.
All right, as of right now, Joe Lunardi has 2 double-digit loss teams, 15-10 Arkansas and 16-10 Georgia, as the last 4 teams in. Onside, offsides, at this point, you don't care if the tournament expands from 68 to 76.
Oh, offside, I do. Stop. Enough. 68 is enough. My Temple Owls can't even make it into 68. Am I supposed to feel better about myself if they make it into a 76-team field? I know that the postseason is the most important, right? March Madness is the most important for college basketball, but it's just too many teams. Does anyone after March Madness end say, hey, we need more March Madness? We need more teams in the tournament? I think most of us don't say that. I think right now the number is fine. They've expanded it before. It is fine where it's at. We don't need to see it go any further. So at this point, you don't care if the tournament expands from 68 to 76. No, I do. So that's an offside.
Offside.
We'll talk about that with Roy Williams next. We'll also look back at his illustrious career. Roy Williams, legendary college basketball coach for UNC in Kansas, joins us on the other side.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Alrighty, welcome back in. Hour number 2 of our radio program. We'll be joined by the legendary Roy Williams coming up in just a bit. Obviously won 3 NCAA championships with UNC, also coached Kansas as well. And Coach is doing a really neat thing. We'll have him tell you more about it just coming up in a few moments. I watched a lot of college basketball this week. I actually think I'm going to the St. John's UConn game coming up this weekend on Sunday. But St. John's had a very nice victory up against Creighton. And then I was all over that 1-2 matchup on Saturday. And game day was all over Alabama and Auburn. And you had that great 1-2 matchup. And Bruce Pearl, the only thing missing on his resume is a national championship, right? He won a Division II national championship. He's now won conference championships. And then also got to a Final Four at Auburn. He has the number 1 team in the country. And Coach Pearl's going to join us coming up in about an hour 20 from now. But that was a fun basketball game, and you got to see Auburn prevail up against Alabama. But let's go out to the guest line right now and talk to a man that knows a thing or two of what it's like to win this time of the year. And that, of course, is the legendary coach Roy Williams. And Roy Williams spending time with us today on behalf of Verizon. And I'm a Verizon customer, but get this. He's personally calling up people in Western Carolina to tell them their debts of necessity are being wiped out. Verizon is erasing $10 million in debt for 6,500 people in North Carolina still recovering from Hurricane Helen. And now joining us, of course, is Roy Williams. Coach, appreciate the time. Thanks so much for doing this. And how you been?
I've been doing well, except on game nights when the other team scores more points. I don't enjoy that part, but it's been a great time for us, and I've loved what I was able to do this morning, talking to some people who have gotten the relief of their debt from Verizon, and I've loved that, seeing the hope get a little bit better in their eyes, and I think that's the biggest thing that Verizon is doing. They're giving more people hope that other people do care. And North Carolina was devastated, and I saw pictures and the whole bit. I was in South Carolina when it hit. I came straight back to North Carolina, but until you go through the mountains of North Carolina, you go in Asheville and see the places that I knew so well as a kid, and it's just devastating. And seeing it on TV is not like seeing it live, I can tell you that.
Yeah, and when you have people's lives that are literally flipped upside down because of Hurricane Helene, and you're able to provide them a moment of joy today, just what is that like? What have those conversations been like when you get to tell them that they're wiping out the debt?
It's been a really neat thing. You know, I'm old school, and people may not know what neat means, but it's been a really neat thing to me. A couple of the people got very emotional. One mom kept saying, thank you, I appreciate it. She said she couldn't hardly think of anything else to say, but she was very emotional. And times are tough. We have a lot of difficult things going on in our world right now. But in Western North Carolina, particularly with what Verizon's doing for the victims of Hurricane Helene, is just incredible. And it has been a neat deal for me to talk to those people. And Verizon has something they're saying is, we will always stand by you. And I'm an old soul music kind of guy, stand by me kind of thing. But I love that idea, and the way that we can talk to those people has been, again, really neat for me.
Yeah, and Coach, I always admire how you help people out. You know, I do a weekly spot in football season on sports radio on WFNZ, and they used to air my show when I was in a different time slot. And I've become very close with two of the hosts there, Mac and Bone, and their community. And I remember just a little while back when, unfortunately, our buddy Mark from Gastonia did pass away, when we knew that the end was coming. You sent a very nice video to him. I've always just admired that about you, where, right, you have made it in life. You're a creme de la creme basketball coach, and you're always willing to try to put a smile on people's faces.
Well, when you see Roy Williams, it's hundreds of people that helped me throughout my entire life, because the story was not a smooth beginning, but so many people helped. And I do think that the more you give, the more you receive. And I believe that deep in my soul. And, you know, what I'm doing this morning is just calling people and saying, hey, somebody's taking care of part of your debt. It's not like I'm doing anything that's really hard. And I enjoy people. I've always liked being around people. And this area here has just been hit so hard, Zach. It's unbelievable what it looks like when you see it in person.
Roy Williams here with us, a legendary college basketball coach. It's crazy how many years, right, you've no longer been coaching at UNC now. When you look back at your career this time of the year, everyone's going to talk about the national championships, but it's so much more than that. when you look back at this journey spanning through all those years, just what are some of the memories and thoughts that come back to mind when you take a look back at what you were able to do?
Well, I try not to do that too much because I'm getting too old. But when I do, I think of the relationships. That's what I really miss. I miss coaching every single day. But what I miss are the practices, the locker room, the bus rides. I don't necessarily miss the games for sure, but it's something that I can tell it to you this way. I was a head coach for 33 years. I coached for 48 years, and nobody enjoyed it. Nobody enjoyed it more than I did. And so for me, I want to do some things that can help some people. I love watching the Tar Heels play. My oldest grandson played on the JV team this year at Myers Park in Charlotte, and I saw a lot of his games. And, you know, when I was a head coach at Kansas, my own son played 3 miles down the road from Allen Fieldhouse, and I missed over half of his games. And so I'm loving that part of it. But I do miss the coaching part of it. The relationships is the best thing to me.
Now, how about what college basketball is now? You know, I'm all for players making money. I'm all for player empowerment. But relationships are tough to build this time of the year, especially with the transfer portal and all that stuff. College basketball, it's a business now, and that's not a secret. What are your thoughts on the new kind of format?
Well, it's definitely a business to a much higher degree than it was when I was coaching. It was a business then, but not anything like it is now. It's changed dramatically. I'm all in favor of NIL. I mean, all in favor of that. Problem is, I don't think that's what we have. You should be able to make some money from your name, image, and likeness, but we've gotten into a pay-for-play thing, and I don't think that's what was intended. Now, is that going to be good or bad long-term? I don't know. But I love the idea of a young man being able to make some money on his actions and what he's done. So I'm all for that, 100%. The loyalty factor with the transfer portal is really hard. The fact of the matter of pay-for-play is really hard. I used to try to recruit people and say, I'm going to see you. I'm going to be there more than anybody else. And now that's not quite as important. And so there's some negative things there, but I still say this, and I say it to every interview, and I'm doing a lot today. When that referee steps in and starts to throw that ball up, and it's Duke and North Carolina, that's what's going to be on people's mind, watching that score, who's going to win that game. But I loved working with young men. I loved coaching, trying to take 13 to 17 guys and making them into the best 5 out there on the court at one time. That was a thrill and a job for me that I actually loved every minute of it every day.
And you look at it, right? When you walk away, when Coach K walks away, I totally understand it. But someone like Jay Wright, I understand if you don't want to do this anymore, you don't need to. And Jay's made a ton of money, has all the nice suits, all the championships, right? But it's just so unfortunate when a guy that is still pretty young at this walks away, which what I felt like a lot more to give. It's unfortunate for the sport.
Well, I think it is too. You know, when Lon Kruger, Tubby Smith, I can go on down the line. One of my favorites right now is Tommy Izzo in breaking Bob Knight, and Bob Knight was great for Roy Williams. He was Coach Dean Smith was, needless to say, my biggest mentor by a million miles, but Coach Knight was great for me. Tom Izzo is great. Everybody that's played at Michigan State has gained a great deal for playing for Tom Izzo. And I don't know how much longer it's going to be, whether it's going to be 5 years or 5 days. It depends, Big Tom. But he's a great friend, and I'm so happy for him this weekend. But I do believe that the young coaches are going to be okay, and everything's got to settle a little bit. And when you come out and make dramatic changes, you have dramatic results. And I'm hopeful that things will calm down a little bit more and make it where people can enjoy their life as a college basketball coach like Roy Williams did.
I know that you've had 3 championship teams, and it's the 25th anniversary of your 2005 team, but I want to ask you about the most recent championship team that you had, just because I brought up Jay Wright. We all know what happened the year before, and then you guys come back and then you win it all. To get that moment for where you were 1 year to then what happened the following year, I know everyone wasn't there, but for the players that were there, just what did that mean to you to get that moment of redemption?
Well, I didn't even hear the word redemption in 17 until we got to the Final Four. And the players have sort of kept that to themselves. But in 16, when we lose to Jay's Villanova team that was very deserving, and Jay's a great friend, it killed me in a certain way. I did not know what I could say to my team in the locker room. And the funniest thing is, I'm not a big media guy, okay? I understand it's not against what you're doing. But the next year, the very first practice, I let them mic me during practice.
Really?
The only time I've ever done that for a whole practice. And I looked around the circle, I blow the whistle, and everybody runs to the circle. And this is practice number 1. And I said, guys, last year we were there on Monday night. It didn't quite work out for us, the final result. But right here in front of me is a team that can be the last team standing on Monday night. I believe in this team. I believe in you. And we'd lost Marcus Page and Bryce Johnson, arguably our 2 best players. Well, we go out and win the whole blessed thing. 2 weeks later, we have the basketball banquet, and they showed that tape. I'd forgotten all about it. It made me look like I knew what the crap I was doing. But it was coming back in 17 and winning that, knowing how badly our team, including myself, felt in 16, and then feeling that. And I used to like to just back off a little bit and watch them jump around and act crazy. And I probably jumped around and acted crazy with them as much as anybody. But that was a neat time in the locker room for Roy Williams.
To get to today's version of the Tar Heels, there's a lot of conversation about someone you know very well in Hubert Davis and if he's still the right guy for the job. What do you say to people that are questioning that right now?
I used to say this about Roy Williams, that I had more desire and more want to in my little finger, more passion than all the Carolina fans put together. Hubert Davis may hold up his left hand because he writes left-handed, but he has more passion and more concern in his little finger than all those people put together. He's the right person for the job. It just makes me just cringe. I mean, why are people talking? His first year, he played for the national championship. His third year, he won the regular season. There's 811 teams in the ACC now, or something close to that. He won the regular season last year. And so we've had some tough moments this year. There's no question about that. But the season's not over. I think we're going to make a run here. And I would love for it to turn around 180 degrees so I could look at all those other suckers and tell them to shut up.
That's unbelievable. Coach,
how's that going to help your ratings?
That's good. You said you're not a radio guy. You just put the cherry on top of the sundae. I got to ask you this, and then we'll let you run. And I really appreciate the time today. The legendary Roy Williams with us. You're still as energetic as ever. You're still passionate. I think you get back on the sideline tomorrow and coach. Is that it, or are you actually done, or will you ever be open to returning to coaching college basketball?
No, I'm done. I had the best job in the world for Roy Williams as a coach at North Carolina. And, I've had a lot of people ask and some people offer me other jobs. And if I was going to work, I'd still be on the sideline with a whistle. And but no, I'm done. I've only missed 2 home games in 4 years. I go to see other schools play. I think I said to you, I saw Tennessee and Missouri play last week. I've been to see Michigan State play, West Virginia play, Kansas play, North Carolina A&T play against Monmouth, one of our former players, King Rice. But I love watching the game. I love being around the kids. But no, I'm where I should be right now.
At this stage of your life, if it's not basketball related, what do you do for fun? Just wondering.
My grandkids, that's the most fun I have, is my family. I enjoy teeing it up on the golf course and talking a little trash. I can talk trash as good as 74-year-old man in the world. But so I do enjoy those things. But my family is, I miss so many things, my own children. I'm trying to make sure that I don't miss it with my grandchildren.
It's unbelievable stuff. Well, once again, Coach is doing a wonderful thing today. Roy Williams is spending time with us today on behalf of Verizon. Get this, he's personally calling up people in Western Carolina to tell them their debts of necessity are being wiped out. Verizon is erasing $10 million in debt for 6,500 people in North Carolina still recovering from Hurricane Helene. And, Coach, we really appreciate the time, and thanks for carving out a few minutes to keep up the great work.
Zach, thank you very much. And you did that nicely with Verizon. I've got 2 of their people here looking at me, and so they're saying I'm doing okay, and you did great.
Well, I got my phone right here, Verizon phone, ever since I was able to get a cell phone, so really do appreciate it. Thanks so much, Coach.
All right, thank you. Have a great day.
There you go. Coach Roy Williams joining us right there on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Just the definition of class. He's unbelievable. And, I do that weekly hit in football season with the guy that listened, to this show for a while, just a big listener of that WFNZ fan base, MFG, who's no longer with us, Mark from Gastonia. And I talked to him a lot, especially towards the end of his life. And he would always call Mac and Bone, and he would love my hits with them, and he would tweet me and things like that and DM me. And they had us do a bunch of videos to kind of cheer Mark up towards the end. And Roy Williams did one of those videos, man. And that dude, even when he doesn't need to, he's always willing to lend a helping hand. And it's so funny because even in that video, I'm pretty sure they did for MFG, and Mark is one of the all-time greats. He goes, I'm not a big radio guy. But I'll help you out, MFG. So it's just, when you're in a position like this, you could do a lot of good with your power, and Roy Williams definitely does that. All righty, coming up in about an hour, Bruce Pearl will join us as well after his huge victory over Alabama, a little 1-2 showdown. Tigers are ranked first in the country. But when we come on back, I did not think we'd be talking about Richie Incognito and Jonathan Martin. But there's a new layer to this story that happened all those years ago when Joe Philbin was coaching the Miami Dolphins. We'll get to that when we come on back.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
So remember this entire Richie Incognito, Jonathan Martin thing? I haven't thought about this in a long, long time. But it was Bullygate, right? Richie Incognito at the time was accused of bullying Jonathan Martin. And it impacted so many people's careers. And the NFL did one of their independent investigations, right? Another one of these Wells reports that is paid for by the NFL, but it's supposed to be an independent investigation. And Jonathan Martin, in an article the other day, he admitted he never felt like he was actually being bullied by Richie Incognito. There's a lot of layers here to unpack. Do I ever think it was to the level of extreme in the way that it was portrayed? No. Was this story a complete nothing burger, though? Absolutely not. If you recall, Richie Incognito left Jonathan Martin a voicemail. So multiple sources confirmed to ESPN that following is a transcript of a voice message Incognito left for Martin in April of 2013, a year after Martin was drafted. Here was the voicemail that Richie Incognito left. Hey, what's up, you half N-word piece of bleep? I saw you on Twitter. You've been training 10 weeks. I want to bleep in your bleeping mouth. I'm going to slap your bleeping mouth. I'm going to slap your real mother across the face. Laughter, bleep you. You're still a rookie. I'll kill you. So when you just hear that from Richie Incognito, you're a white guy calling a black guy a word that obviously you cannot use, nor should be used. But then, I didn't know this part. Incognito claims that a week before this went down, and this was an old article back on Pro Football Talk from November of 2013, that Incognito told Jay Glazer of Fox Sports, a week before this went down, Jonathan Martin texted me, I will murder your whole bleeping family. Now, did I think Jonathan Martin was going to murder my family? Not one bit, Incognito said. So I think this was one of those things where if you just read it without any context, you'd be like, yeah, Richie Incognito is a psycho. Richie Incognito is a bully. Richie Incognito is a villain. But then also, like, a lot of this is football culture too. Now, I'm not defending everything Richie Incognito did. I'm not doing that. But did it ever get to this point where Richie Incognito and what was being accused of him was 100% take it as you see it? No, it wasn't. And Jonathan Martin coming out the other day and saying, hey, I never felt like I was actually getting bullied. I think what we realize here, and Jonathan Martin has been through a lot, that there was a lot going on up there. And also, Jonathan Martin was expected to be this great football player. And when he wasn't, and he couldn't handle the league, his family and also himself allowed excuses to be made about a unhealthy work environment. Now, I know people that have been teammates of Richie Incognito, and they have spoke glowingly. The best teammate that you would ever want. Awesome, like great locker room guy, things like that. So it's interesting how there was the Jonathan Martin situation, and then there's a lot of other situations where I get it. Hey, Richie Incognito is not a choir boy, right? Richie Incognito is not the definition of the greatest human being in the world. But you had Eric Wood, who came out the other day, and he said, this cost my brother Richie Incognito's reputation so much money and more. I'm grateful the truth has come out, but too little, too late. So I did not think that we'd be going back to this whole story. But you look at some scandals that the NFL has recently seen, right? You look at Bountygate. You look at this bullying scandal, even Deflategate, right? If you look at, in terms of, I'm not talking about someone murdering somebody else, right? I'm not talking about, issues off the field like domestic violence and people abusing children, because those things are a lot more serious than Bountygate, than Deflategate, or Bullygate, if we're being honest. But in terms of football matters only, in the last 15, 20 years, you look at the three scandals, and if you want to throw Spygate in there as well, but the three that I'm going to really mention are Deflategate, Bullygate, and then also Bountygate. I don't think any of the three were really ever as bad as the outrage and the dog and pony show that they become. Like, you look at Bountygate, do you think Greg Williams is the first person to say, hey, if you go knock out the other team's quarterback, you'll get a bonus? You think he's the first coach to say that? Now, I'm not saying those things should happen, but did Sean Payton need to be out of football for an entire year? I don't think so. You look at this Bullygate situation, right? You had big bad Richie Incognito, who is not 100% perfect. I'm not giving Richie Incognito the benefit of the doubt. I'm not saying Richie Incognito is an innocent person here. But all these years later, Jonathan Martin comes out and says, hey, I never actually felt like I was getting bullied. You say that, the whole story goes right out the window, even though it's too little, too late. And then also, I'll never forget Deflategate. I was there. I'll never forget Ray Martell, who still works here. We went to Patriots-Colts, that AFC championship game. You could have put a golf ball and give the Patriots a golf ball. They still would have beat the snot and beat the pants and beat the brakes off the Indianapolis Colts. And I'll never forget, right before the start of the second half, because our seats were right off the end zone, right behind the end zone. And I noticed that there was a little delay in starting the second half. And they kept on moving out the footballs. And I said to Ray, I go, what's going on with the football? Something weird's happening. And then we got up the next day, and we were driving back to New York. Ray and I were road tripping together. And I said to Ray, there's some report from this guy, Bob Kravitz in Indianapolis. They're accusing the Patriots of cheating. It was actually late that night when the report came out. And Ray goes, don't worry about it. I'll blow over in the morning. Worst take ever. Worst take. Because that became to a point where Brady Wright got the injunction, and they thought he was going to win, and he wasn't going to win, and eventually had to take the 4-game suspension. And I'm not saying Brady was completely innocent, but did it impact the game? Absolutely not. Did they factor science into it? Absolutely not. Now, Brady knew what was going on, don't get me wrong. But those three stories, if you remember them, the hysteria behind them, and the freaking out, and oh my goodness gracious, we need penalties. We need punishments. Oh, we need the NFL to drop the hammer on the Saints, the Dolphins, and the Patriots. You look how all three of those stories have aged. The outrage that was there then, we look at it and we take a look back at it a lot differently now. I think Deflategate now is kind of viewed as a joke. The Richie Incognito, Jonathan Martin story after yesterday, reading that article, I was wondering what world we're in. Are we in the Twilight Zone? This story popped back up, and I saw it yesterday. I go, what's this clickbait? And then I'm reading it. I'm like, oh, my God. Jonathan Martin is basically saying what was talked about and what was reported, that he never felt like he was actually bullied. So that story now, you kind of crumble it up and throw it out the window. And then also, you had Bountygate, which is probably still the serious out of the three. But if you think that's the first time it ever happened, and just because it happened doesn't mean it's right. And you shouldn't be paying someone with intent to injure. I totally get that. But I think sometimes we forget that in the four major American sports, football is the most lethal sport on the planet. And sometimes football culture goes way too far. And sometimes football culture gets taken to a length and a level that it shouldn't be. But then there's also some things that happen that the average person or the public hears about it, and we act as if we're surprised, and we're like, oh my goodness gracious, I can't believe this happened. But those are three major scandals: Bountygate, Bullygate, and then also Deflategate. And definitely 2 out of 3 of them haven't aged all that great, and we kind of laugh at them. And I think that there's an understanding that, yes, Bountygate was wrong, but that was just part of a football culture at the time that the NFL was trying to clean up, as Bullygate was too, with some of this rookie hazing stuff and also trying to eliminate that old school mentality. Like, Buddy Ryan, you're telling me back in the day he didn't pay people? Right? There's a body bag game. Right? We remember the body bag game? But Greg Williams says, you take out Brett Favre, we'll pay you this. Whoever puts the hardest hit on, we'll give you a bonus. Then it's I can't believe that that's happening. So, yes, I get it. The world changes. But some of these stories, especially when you get them in the news cycle, right, when it comes to the NFL and it's the bombshell, explosive, exclusive story, once Pandora's box is open, once there's a little article out there and it just grows bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it goes to a level of hype that's just absolutely ridiculous. And I'm not saying in all three of those stories, I'm not saying Brady was 100% right. I'm not saying the Saints are 100% right. And I'm not saying that Richie Incognito were 100% right. But were they this much of villains, and were they this much wrong as what the NFL tried to tell you, because the NFL pondered and basically just bowed down to the mob? No. Right? You have these Wells reports and these investigations. Independent, though. Independent, right? But the NFL's paying, right? So they're going to give you the answers that you want. So I kind of had to laugh yesterday. And I remember there was a race element to this with Incognito. And we read you what the voicemails were. And you read those and it's like horrifying. But then you had Jonathan Martin calling back. He's like, I'll kill your whole bleeping family. And that guy's getting bullied. So, there's locker room talk. Now I sound like Trump. Locker room talk. But there is locker room talk that happens in the NFL. And when you have an average person seeing it, you're like, oh, this isn't good. But Jonathan Martin being bullied, he even just said all these years later, and it's too little too late. And once again, Incognito is not a choir boy, farthest thing from it. But all these years later, I never felt like I was getting bullied. Huh. That's something. Bruce Pearl's going to join us coming up at 5:20 p.m. Eastern time. Great stuff with Roy Williams a few moments ago as well. Coach of the big defense of Hubert Davis, and also said he's never interested in returning to coaching, even though during that whole conversation, that's why I asked him at the end, what do you do for fun? Hey, he was talking about every college basketball school. He's still plugged in, locked in, and you could tell that he still misses the game. And he said it. I'll give him credit. I remember when he retired, Roy Williams, Roy said, I just don't feel like I'm the best man for the job anymore. I felt like I was losing a little. And that's a big fear for coaches, and some of them hang around. Like, if Boeheim was run out of Syracuse, he would have hung on for every last breath that he had. But it was time for Boeheim to go. For Roy Williams, I think he had that fear of, even though he's a legendary coach, I don't want to get to a point where I'm not at the top of my game. And right, just like with athletes, sometimes with teams, sometimes it's better to get out 2 years earlier rather than 2 years late. And I still think Roy Williams will be a very successful coach. But when you have the transfer portal, when you have NIL, and you have one of these older guard coaches like a Roy Williams, a Roy Williams and a Mike Krzyzewski, they don't need to adapt. But a guy like Jay Wright, who still could have given probably another 15, 20 years of coaching. 15, he's now 63. He could have coached until his 70s. There's no doubt about that. If he wanted to be involved in this new era of college basketball and college athletics, he would have had to adapt. Even though Jay won 2 national championships and been to a bunch of Final Fours at Villanova, and Villanova was his school. And for Jay, he didn't want to adapt. And I think the coach is in a tricky spot when they complain about name, image, and like the transfer portal, because we don't crush a coach when he leaves the school, right? We don't crush a coach when he was making all that money. But when you're used to something a certain way, it's not the easiest to adapt, especially when you've been extremely successful about it. So we lost a lot of good coaches as of late. Now, Coach K and Roy Williams, I get it. They're up there in age. But Jay Wright, that's the one that still annoys me. Because that dude, even though he's really good on TV, but he should still be on a sideline. And as a fan, I feel like we got robbed of at least a decade more of Jay Wright coaching college basketball. Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network. Come on back. We'll update some of the biggest stories in the world of sports with some audio. We get to a news brief next. Update time for that.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
Well, if Saturday's thriller between the U.S. and Canada wasn't enough, get ready for the rematch on Thursday in the final of the Four Nations tournament. The U.S. already there by virtue of their win 2 nights ago. Canada joined them by bouncing back with a 5-3 win today over Finland, but they had to sweat a little as the Finns scored twice in a 23-second span late in the third period to make it a 1-goal game before Sidney Crosby iced it with an empty net goal. Matthew Tkachuk and Charlie McAvoy both out for the United States tonight when they take on Sweden. Chris Kreider and Jake Sanderson take their place in the lineup. Duke starts a 3-game road trip tonight in Charlottesville against Virginia. The Blue Devils have recovered nicely after a stunning loss at Clemson, winning back-to-back games, and head coach John Shire said his team has weathered a mini-storm.
This season's an evolution, and you have to make sure you continue to get better. And if you're not getting better, you're not staying the same, but you're getting worse. And so for us, I think those checkpoints throughout the year, the fact that our team has always responded, which they have at a high level, I think that's allowed us to get better.
Also tonight, Arizona on the road at Baylor, while Auburn remains the #1 team in the nation in the latest AP Top 25 poll, followed by Florida. I'm Rich Jackson.
The Infinity Sports Network is on your smart speaker. All you have to say is play Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Time for your daily news brief. We get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
Hey, Stu, by the way, I say this all the time. I'll get to the news brief here in just a second. Sometimes you say one thing one week, and then the next week you look like a complete fraud and hypocrite. We had a conversation last week where I made fun of something that you were telling me you were going to do, where when I tell you later on in the show that I'm doing that exact same thing that I made fun of you for doing last week, well, now I'm going to be doing that next week. So you have no clue what I'm talking about, I don't think,
I
right?
don't think so.
But you said something last week that I laughed at. I'm like, I don't get why people do that anymore. And now I'm doing the exact same thing coming up next week when I'm on vacation. I will get to what it is coming up later. But anyway, let's get to a news brief. Here is LeBron James. As LeBron James announces hours before the All-Star game, yeah, I'm not playing.
You won't see anything from me tonight. Unfortunately, I will not be in uniform tonight. Still dealing with ankle and foot discomfort, so I will not be playing tonight, unfortunately. I hate that, but I'm looking forward to seeing the format. This is the first year for it. I know we got a lot of great, call us the OGs. That's hilarious. We do got a few guys with gray hairs, so that makes sense. But, that should be fun. I saw the quote the other day with DK with somebody who's going to play against me. So I guess I'll see him at practice, and hopefully I'll be in practice. We can go at it then. Yeah,
when Dalton Connect is a part of this All-Star game, Guy was supposed to be traded, and then a physical failed somebody else, and then he doesn't get traded. And we need to see the rising stars or whatever it is in the All-Star game. The format just sucks. But LeBron, lame James, that's what he was. Lame James. Very lame. You know, I know that this All-Star game is a joke, but you knew you weren't going to play. But you needed everyone to basically just massage your ego, so you wait until a few hours before the game. He should have announced this days ago. So that's lame. Here is Draymond Green on LeBron James's last-second All-Star game scratch, NBA on TNT. Draymond Green, Jalen Rose, and Vince Carter.
I think Bron could have helped somebody else out and said this.
Said it earlier so they can find someone else. So you can go in and play. So you can go play.
I ain't had that type of year, but somebody out there. D-Book.
There's a lot of guys who are worthy of that like you said, who he's close. He's close by.
He took a roster spot from somebody.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So you know what? I actually have an opinion change on Draymond Green. I was very tired of Draymond Green. I had a lot of Draymond Green fatigue. You may not like everything he says, and he could be a hypocrite. There's no doubt about that, but we could all be a hypocrite. And it still annoys me with the guy that he punched in the face, Jordan Poole, and he basically takes zero accountability, but he keeps on talking about it. That still bugs me. But Draymond Green at least tells you what's on his mind. And you know Draymond Green is buddy-buddy with LeBron James. He's been sucking up to him, puckering up the last few years to LeBron James because he thought LeBron was going to maybe join him in Golden State. That is as critical as you'll hear a player in the league be of LeBron James. It actually has a name. You know, I'm not talking about Dylan Brooks or any of these guys. Like someone that actually has clout in the league. And that's a good job by Draymond Green. Yeah, he could have given his spot to somebody else. And he could have made somebody else's All-Star weekend. So good job by Draymond. I've actually found some respect for Draymond Green. And this is more respect for Draymond Green. He hates the new All-Star game format. Listen up.
1 to 10, your thoughts of the format?
10 being the best.
Yes.
A 0. Sucks. Sucks.
Was that a Sports Talk radio caller, or is that Draymond Green? Oh, Adam Silver, how do you like that?
Sucks.
That's your product. That's your player. And Draymond Green, this league, this All-Star game, this format, it sucks.
Sucks.
It blows. It's horrible. Draymond, 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 Draymond. Draymond, I won't say anything negative about you for a month, all right? You've got a month. I am not allowed to say anything negative about Draymond Green from February 17th to March 17th, all right? If I do, Stu, I want you to get on the air and be like, Zach, attention, 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 warning, warning, warning. You cannot criticize Draymond Green for a month. Expires on March 17th. We'll see if I could hold up my end of the bargain of that. All righty, let's get to Draymond Green. Oh, more Draymond Green. Now they get a Draymond jersey. The NBA is boring. Listen up.
I saw a clip not too long ago where Kobe said, like, yo, it's accidental basketball. He couldn't have been more right. It was so refreshing to play against Bron because every possession is like a chess match. But you don't just get that on a regular basis. It's just who can run faster, who can hit more threes. It's no substance. And so I think it's very boring.
I'm with him. The regular season product, it sucks. So why should anyone be surprised that the All-Star game is terrible when the players don't even give a rat's ass about the regular season? But the legendary Oscar Robertson, he was on Sirius XM NBA radio. I always love when the old heads and Draymond fight. It's always great. It's always fun. And Oscar Robertson said, Draymond's calling the NBA boring now? Okay, let me get you a little response here.
Who cares what Draymond says? He doesn't mean anything. You know, people, this is what I mean. You know, I mean, one guy can say this and one guy can say that. The game is what it is. People either like the game or they don't. And I think people enjoy the game, especially if their team can win. And you look at the basketball, it might be boring to him because if he's not passing the ball to Curry, what is he doing? It might be boring to him at times because of what he's doing. Maybe it is boring when he's out there. He's not shooting a lot. He's not guarding a lot. So it's boring.
I am advocating and imploring Draymond Green to have an emergency podcast. If we get on the air tomorrow or by the end of the show, tomorrow, today, whenever, we don't have a response from Draymond Green about this. I haven't seen one yet. I can't wait for that. In the words of Terrell Owens, get your popcorn ready. Ooh, that's going to be fun. My guy, Draymond Green. Love him. Kevin Durant So Draymond Green claimed he's already been offered to be the next head coach of the Golden State Warriors whenever he wants it. All right, KD, let's get your thoughts.
I think Draymond would be an incredible head coach. I think he'd be a better head coach than he would be a TV analyst.
Lying.
And he's pretty good at that.
We hate each other.
He loves being on the floor. He loves teaching. He loves that competitive nature of competing on the court. And I think if he would go into TV, he would just be clawing and itching to get back on the floor. So, yeah, I think he'd be a great coach.
I think Draymond Green would get the most technical fouls ever if he was a head coach. I can't see him being a head coach. I can't. Ugh. Imagine we got a head coaching matchup. Well, I can't say anything critical about Draymond right now. Imagine if J.J. Redick had a head coaching matchup up against Draymond Green. I know I'm rooting for it. Draymond. My guy, Draymond Green. Let's go to Dwayne Wade. He was on the Trophy Room podcast with Candace Parker, and he had a little story about the Big Three coming together in Miami.
So I knew on July 4th, Bron brought the conversation up to me on the phone. And I was like, you play with me, bro? July 4th, we all got on the phone and we all decided that, all right, we gonna do this. Chris and I signed July 7th and LeBron is gonna sign July 8th. So I know this. But while I was a little shook because LeBron stopped answering his phone after July 4th. Didn't hear from the man. So, reaching out to him, making sure we still good because this is a very
So
tough
you double
decision.
text? Did you triple text?
Bro, I was doing I ain't want to do too much, you know what I'm saying? But I'm like, hey, we still good? He said I'm taking my talents to South Beach. We don't even play in South Beach. It took me a minute when he said that. I was like, where he going? I was a little nervous.
I had to be left in the dark a little bit. That's classic LeBron. Tell everyone what it is, then have a bunch of drama. And then he did something for charity at the Boys and Girls Club in Connecticut, which was great. But you made the team that you were leaving, their fans furious because it's one thing to get a divorce. When you leave them in that fashion, and obviously a lot has changed because LeBron went back and then won a championship in Cleveland. Cleveland, this is for you. But at the time, that was not a good look for LeBron James. Giannis Antetokounmpo talks about the possibility of a World versus USA All-Star Game format.
I would love that, and for sure, I'll take pride to that. I always compete, but I think that will give me a little bit more extra juice to compete. Having Shea, Jokic, Luka, Wemby, Towns, Shagun, having all those players, playing with you. And obviously, I'm missing some guys right now. I cannot think from the top of my head. Going against the best US players, I think it'll be fun.
Maybe do a little country pride. In this case, it would just be USA versus the rest of the world. And you kind of take a page sort of out of what the NHL did in this four-nation tournament. Finally, Giannis Antetokounmpo on the possibility of a one-on-one All-Star Game challenge.
If I had the chance to play one-on-one with anybody, I would love to do it. Sometimes you forget, to be a good one-on-one player, you got to be able to play both ways. You got to get a stop to get the ball. If you don't get a stop, you're not getting the ball. So it's kind of hard, say if Kyrie Irving going against Wemby, you got to get a stop. It'd be fun.
All right, I have your word. You'll do it?
I can't promise. I don't make no promises. But if I'm healthy, I'll probably
Classic
do it.
NBA answer. Great idea. Oh, you have to actually play? And Giannis is a good guy, let's be clear. I can't give you my word on that one. I don't think that would ever happen. It'd be awesome if it did. But I think players would be too concerned about getting hurt, and I think they'd also be too concerned about getting their egos just damaged if you end up losing. I think we should, here's my idea to fix the All-Star game. Wemby against everybody else. You just do Wemby one-on-one challenges against everybody else. Because Victor Wembanyama is like an alien when I watch him. He is unbelievable. And that was the most interesting part of the All-Star game. It was just seeing Victor Wembanyama play. Man, that's a guy you'd spend money on to go see. And there's not a lot of players right now in the NBA you go spend money on to see because you don't even know if they're going to show up, to be clear. But Wemby, I would be okay with spending money. And then if you find out he's out, I'd be okay because it's worth it if you end up seeing him play. But I am just enamored by Victor Wembanyama. Bruce Pearl going to join us 25 minutes from now. When we come on back, I have an ideal NBA dunk contest.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. here's your host, Zach Gelb.
All righty, welcome back in. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network, hour number 3 of our radio program. So the NBA All-Star Weekend was just a joke. I think if you listen to this show during the last 2 hours, I've made my opinion abundantly clear. I don't believe there's anything that the NBA can do to fix the product because there is a fundamental issue with the NBA right now, and it's this commissioner, Adam Silver, has no spine. That's why I call him Spineless Silver, and he's created a culture where I'm not against player empowerment. I'm not against players using their voices, but the players can't run the league. And when the players just stomp all over Adam Silver and this commissioner never stands up and defends himself and defends his product, this is why you get a regular season product that's dog crap. And I know the Pro Bowl stinks in the NFL. I know the MLB All-Star Game isn't what it once used to be, but you get a product now in the NBA where if you can't even get players to want to really contribute and want to be great in the regular season, why would you even think that these players are going to give you something compelling to watch on All-Star Weekend? And here's the real problem, too. I used to never really love Sunday. The actual All-Star Game, I'm not a huge fan of. I remember when I was a kid begging my mom to let me stay up late to watch, Michael Jordan's last All-Star Game. Like, that, to me, was something that I remember. But all the other stuff, the last decade, I'd be lying to you if I've ever said I really cared about the All-Star Game. Like, the Elam ending when they did that was fun. But these different formats, the Sunday, to me, never really resonated. Saturdays used to be so much fun. With the skills competition, with the three-point contest, with the dunk contest. I'm just going to be fully transparent because I'm not going to be one of these blowhards on the radio that say, oh, I watch everything. And I watch a lot. I watch more games than most of these radio hosts that you listen to. But on Saturday night, I went out for dinner. I watched the end of Alabama and Auburn. I was into that. It was fun. And then I went out to dinner with my 97-year-old grandfather and my niece and my sister and my brother-in-law and my mother and my father. We went to my favorite Italian restaurant on Long Island in Menino's. And we had a great meal, a sensational meal. But I wasn't wasting my time with Saturday. And I said to Stu and Samter before the show on Thursday, can you guys name who's in the dunk contest? And then I read them the names, and I'm like, why would I tune in? I really care about Mac McClung's three-peat. That guy's in the G League. Don't get me wrong, he's a credible dunker. Guy's in the G League, though. There's no star power in this dunk contest. And that's LeBron's fault. Because LeBron James never had the guts to actually do the dunk contest. We've seen a lot of, Giannis Antetokounmpo's done the dunk contest. Dwight Howard, he's done the dunk contest multiple times, right? We've seen big-name players do the dunk contest, right? We all remember Vince Carter. But LeBron James never did the dunk contest because I think he was afraid, which I don't know what he'd be afraid about. LeBron James, you show up and you take the basketball and you dunk the basketball, I can guarantee you this. You would have won. Everyone would be like, oh, my God, LeBron, the king. Oh, wonderful. Yes. Ooh, onions. It all turned into Bill Raftery. That's what it turned out to be. But LeBron James, for whatever reason, never did the dunk contest. And you know what? If I could do an interview with LeBron, I would ask him one question. If you say, Zach, you get one question to LeBron James, one. And there's so many things you could talk about, right? You could talk about the 4 championships, the 2 in Miami, the 1 in Cleveland, the 1 in Los Angeles, where he's a mega star right out of high school, and the pressure never got to him. There's so much to talk about with LeBron James. You could talk about if he actually read that book. You could do that too. There's so many things you could talk about with LeBron James, right? The whole Bronny stuff, right? There's never been a major controversy in terms of Well, like, you look how LeBron James is in the spotlight. There's never been a real controversy with LeBron. There's so many things to talk about. But the thing I would ask LeBron is, and I would ask him like this, I don't care who he is, why'd you never have the guts to do the dunk contest? And you may say, that's a harsh question. Why can't you just say, why did you never do the dunk contest? Because I think I know the truth. He was afraid of failing. One of the greatest athletes of all time. The second greatest NBA player ever. A guy that has been an unstoppable force. And I know he's a wine drinker, so I'll say this. He's aged like fine wine. What LeBron James is doing right now is ridiculous. It is flat out ridiculous. And that dude that has so much confidence, that dude that has been the standard for so many years, that dude that is just associated with greatness, he didn't have the guts to ever do the dunk contest. And you know what? I know he's banged up right now and he couldn't even play in the All-Star game, which he wanted to have a drama show and he could have waited. People will say, oh, well, Zach, why are you complaining about LeBron not doing the dunk contest now? It's way past his time for doing the dunk contest. If he was healthy, you're telling me at the age of 40, if LeBron participated in the dunk contest on Saturday night, that he wouldn't win? Once again, compared to the other stuff that they gave us, and I know, right, Max, a three-time champion. A three-time champion. Wonderful. You're telling me if LeBron got in the dunk contest at 40 and just threw down one decent dunk, we wouldn't give him the trophy? How many times do you see the tweets the last years? This is 38. This is 39. This is 40. If LeBron James just threw down a dunk at the age of 40 in the dunk contest, we would have Kenny the Jet Smith screaming, it's over, it's over. And we just give him the trophy. Even if you thought it was rigged, it doesn't matter. But LeBron never had the guts to do the dunk contest. And it still annoys me to this day. So, Stu, this All-Star game is a joke. But the Saturday night becoming a joke is really what annoys me. Because I don't know about you, Stu. Growing up, I never really cared about the Sunday. I was always a sucker for the skills competition for whatever the reason was. I love the three-point contest. Quite frankly, the three-point contest is my favorite thing. But then the dunk contest is always the main event. That's always the filet mignon. And the last few years, right, we have seen the Saturday night, which used to be a great filet mignon, a mouth-watering filet mignon, a juicy, awesome filet mignon, turn into wedding filet mignon. And you know what I mean by that. Sometimes you go to a wedding, you get a filet mignon, and it's delicious. But there's other times, you look at the menu at the wedding, you get the fish, you get the chicken, or you get the filet. And when you're filling out that wedding card, you go, I'll take a filet, why not? And then you get the filet mignon, and it's rubbery, and it's dry, and it's disgusting. And I've had too many wedding filet mignons. So I've now changed my approach, and I usually go for the chicken. It's very tough to mess up the chicken. Fish could be a little dicey. I like fish, but it could be a little dicey at a wedding. But I go, at least if the chicken's dry, I could just squeeze some lemon on it. If you cook a steak improperly, you've messed it up. And then you ruin my evening. But the NBA Saturday night, which used to be the filet mignon for me, and it used to be a succulent, juicy, delicious, amazing filet mignon. It has now turned into a well-done, rubbery piece of crap filet mignon. And that's what I took away from Saturday night. And as someone that used to just be a sucker for whatever the reason was for the Saturday night of All-Star Game weekend, Stu, it's not the actual All-Star Game that annoys me, because I've already realized that is just a cause that is not worth fighting for. And I could sit here, bitch, and complain about it, and trust me, I did. But nothing's going to change. The players don't care about the regular season. Why are they going to care about the All-Star Game? But when it comes to Saturday night, that's something for a while I thought the NBA couldn't mess up. And now you have no stars once again in the dunk contest. And until they get stars again in the dunk contest, it just ruins the entire night. It ruins the skills competition, even though Wemby and Chris Paul probably ruined it by themselves this year. And then it just, even when you have a three-point contest, it could be good. It ruins that as well, because there used to be a build-up to the dunk contest where it's like, oh, watch the skills competition, watch the three-point contest. Oh, I actually like those things maybe more. And then the dunk contest delivered. Right? There were years that it delivered. And recently, you've just had it be the well-done, crappy, rubbery wedding filet mignon still. And that's disappointing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I used to be very into the All-Star Saturday night, and I did not watch it this year. I watched the hockey instead. I just wasn't interested. I wasn't into it. I saw the highlights on Twitter. That's all I needed to see. I don't need to watch it. But when I was younger, yes, the three-point contest, everything. I enjoyed them so much, and I feel like they're just not that good anymore. I can't get into them as much as I used to.
Also, why do we keep on running out Kevin Hart to this thing? I like Kevin Hart, but Kevin Hart has been with the he may have more All-Star Game appearances than LeBron. Outside, actually, if he doesn't, then Kevin Hart has played in the second most All-Star games maybe ever. It's crazy. And did you watch any of it last night? Because I watched Sunday. I did not watch Saturday.
I watched a little. I watched the first game, and then I had enough. I turned it off.
The bit of Kevin Hart.
I was
enough.
That's when I turned it off. That first break when he was, kind of roasting everyone, and then he started roasting the two teams. I'm like, I'm out.
And I saw in Front Office Sports, they said that they're going to try to next year move up the All-Star game because it went on way too long. And I know you got to hit commercial breaks, but from one game to the next, I'm like, okay, they'll have a little halftime. And then they went out to the, out at the stadium where Draymond was on pound. I'm like, oh my God. I had Chinese food last night at a buddy's house. And after the first game ended, I go, I'll stick around for the other two. And then when I realized how long that intermission was between the first game to the second game, I go, I'm getting on the subway right now. I'm going home. And I ended up catching the championship game. And the championship was a dud too. NBA All-Star Weekend. Dud. That's what it's turned into. But the Saturday night getting ruined is what really annoys me. But if I had to do an ideal dunk contest next year, and I like that Ja Morant, let me give you a little message. I know you had a little image problem within the last year or two. If you're going to tease us and you're going to talk about wanting to do the dunk contest, you better follow through. And then Giannis said, oh, Ja, if you do it, I'll do it. And I know Giannis has already done the dunk contest. But I don't know if I could find 4 better names here, Stu. Here would be my ideal dunk contest for next year. And when I say the last one, you're going to tell me he's never going to do it, so I'll give you another one. Ja Morant, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Anthony Edwards, and LeBron James. If I'm asking you, give me 4 people to do the dunk contest next year, and I know LeBron won't do it. That ship has already sailed. Is there anyone else that you can name besides those 4? I don't think so. I think those would be the four most entertaining. Maybe you want to throw Mac McClung in there? Come on. I've seen enough of Mac on this JV dunk contest.
I think the intrigue of Wemby, look, I know he's not a prototypical dunker. I don't know how many moves, if you will, that he can do, how many tricks he can do, but just seeing how high he can get up, I think he would be on that list for me.
Yeah. It's funny. I wonder how I would be afraid that he would get hurt, honestly.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's the one that I think you have to protect and bubble wrap. But if you had to take LeBron out, because LeBron's not doing it, I could see Anna, right, and Ja and Giannis, right, participating in it. But if you take LeBron out, yes, from a viewership standpoint, you'd want to put him in Wemby. You know, I also would still like to see you do the dunk contest. Do you know who I'm going to say?
Oh yeah, I do.
Go ahead.
Zion Williamson.
Yeah,
he'd be great.
He may be out for the rest of the season.
He might.
We'll give you the complimentary buffet, Zion Williamson, if you end up doing that. But yeah, I would love to see Zion in the dunk contest. I got to get next year Ja, Giannis, Anthony Edwards, Zion Williamson, Wemby. I'll settle for 1. I would really like to get 2. 2 would be really good. So I teased this earlier, Stu. I'm a hypocrite. And I did not expect it to go down this road. I really didn't. So I saw Stu's vacation is coming up, right? We all have a document where we put our vacation. And next week I'm out Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm going to Florida. So I'm going to visit my grandma in Florida. And my mom and my dad are also going to be down there too. So I'm leaving Wednesday morning. I don't have any plans Wednesday night. Thursday I'm doing dinner with my family because my cousins and aunts and uncles also now live in Florida. Friday, I'm going to my favorite restaurant, one of my favorite restaurants, Joe's Stone Crab in Miami. Saturday, I'm playing golf with my Uncle Kenny and my dad. And then Sunday, we're flying back. But last night, I told you, right, I was having some Chinese food with one of my best friends. We were watching the All-Star game nonsense. And I tell him, I'm going to Florida. He goes, wait, you're going to Florida in a week? He goes, so am I. I'm like, oh, you really? He goes, yeah, him and his girlfriend, they have a wedding to go to down in Florida. So he said, oh, I'll go down a few days earlier and really make it like a full week trip. So he goes, you want to go to Met spring training? With Stu.
Oh, yeah.
Last week. And this is my best friend. I'm not going to tell him, no, like, it's a Thursday during the day. What am I doing instead of sitting in a lounge chair and dipping in and out of the pool, moving my fat ass? So last week I go to Stu, you had a lot in March. And you told me you're going to Arizona and you're going on a spring training baseball tour. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, I think we're doing 6 games. Me and my buddy Howard are doing 6 games in 4 days.
And I said to you, I hate spring training. And I hate preseason, right, in all sports. Because I just fear that injuries are going to happen. And I don't care about games that are meaningless. And I just want to get to the regular season product. And I said, when I was a kid, I loved going to Port St. Lucie, going to spring training, seeing the Mets. I also went to Jupiter because you had a double dip. There were the Cardinals and the Marlins. I got to meet Albert Pujols as a kid, which was really cool. So that was like really fun. And I always enjoyed that. I always begged, let's go in February. Let's go, right? Let's go to Florida. We'll visit Grandma. Then we'll go to the spring training. I loved it. But now I always find it funny when grown men are going to spring training. And when I was on the Fan yesterday, before I knew this was going to happen, I go, the only reason grown men should go to spring training is to escape their wife. All right? If you're doing a guy's trip. And here I am with no wife. And my buddy goes, hey, you want to go to spring training on Thursday? And I go, yeah, what the bleep am I doing? Why not? So I am a hypocrite. I am a fraud. And Stu, I needed to issue an apology to you.
All right.
Because I was not laughing at you, but kind of making fun. Oh, you're going to spring training. Like, why? You're not going to have fun. It's like watching paint dry. And trust me, when I'm there Thursday and I'm watching the game, I think I'm watching paint dry, but I'm going. And suppose I'm a few rows off the plate. So you will see me if you're tuning in. You won't be able to miss me. 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. Chris in Alabama next up on the Infinity Sports Network. Chris, go ahead.
Zach Gelb, let me talk to you, man. I was with you when you said the NBA product has been watered down and players don't care enough. And Silva should probably put his foot down to a degree. But to say that Roger Goodell is the best commissioner ever, we will be.
Well, I didn't say ever. I didn't say ever. I said right now to the 4 active commissioners and the 4 major sports, he's the best one.
I can't even agree with that because he's literally a franchise corporate sock puppet. He literally gets booed every single NFL draft.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm someone that had a Roger Goodell clown shirt. I despise Roger Goodell, but I appreciate him during COVID.
He's a walking, talking hypocrite.
But aren't all the commissioners? Like you're basically asking me, hey Zach, like when I was a 3-year-old, which vegetable do you prefer? I don't prefer any of the vegetables, but you got to pick one. And to me, Goodell is the best commissioner right now because I go back to COVID when hold on, let me finish. I go back to COVID when Adam Schefter was like, and I love Schefter, there's carnage in the streets. How can we have a draft? And all these GMs were bitching. And Roger Goodell said, the draft's going to go on. That actually showed me guts. It actually showed me leadership. We had the draft. It was awesome, and it gave us something to watch. What have the other commissioners done recently?
He still got booed through that. The point being is this. Here's the thing. If I base it off whether or not you can have a or not. Silva, you can say he let some stuff slide to a degree.
What does Silver do?
I'll give you that. But the only thing for sure, he's definitely good with player relations and all, and issue with the Sterling. That's the bare freaking minimum at least.
Yeah, you know why he's good with player relationships? You want to know why he's good with player relationships? Because he lets the players do whatever he wants. Come on, Chris.
No. I'm not done. He has
make a point.
The NFL lockout, unlike Adele, because apparently
the NBA's had a lockout. The NBA's had a lockout.
Yeah, but one thing for sure though, it wasn't as bad as with the product we got afterwards compared to the NFL.
Do you think the NBA product's better than the NFL product?
No, I don't think one's better with another. One thing for sure, I know we can't be just crashing down in the NBA when NASCAR and the USA men's soccer team exists. Come on now.
We're talking about the 4 major sports. I'm not talking about soccer. I'm not talking about NASCAR. Nothing against those sports. I'm talking about what we do, the 4 major sports in America. I'm talking about hockey. I'm talking about football. I'm talking about basketball and baseball. So that's all I'm talking about. All right? You cannot name me one thing outside of Donald Sterling, which is the easiest ball putted on the tee, and Silver crushed it out of the park on that one, that Adam Silver has done well. This guy just lies down and lets the players stomp on him, and his regular season product is by far and away the worst out of the 4 sports. And this is why I can't stand the guy, because it's you, the fan. The players in the NBA and the association, they spit in your faces constantly, over and over and over again. And that I won't tolerate. Yeah, Bettman's had 3 lockouts. Goodell, he'll do anything to go make a buck. There's no doubt about it. Manfred, I don't like him. At least he did the pitch clock. That was pretty good. Look at me. I'm defending Rob Manfred. I hate his guts. But Adam Silver is the worst commissioner in sports. It's not even close, folks. And I get it. All 4. It's like I said at 3. Oh, what's your favorite vegetable? I don't like any of them. They want ice cream. All right? They want chicken fingers. But Adam Silver has made the NBA one big fat joke because he has no control. And he's spineless. Spineless Silver. Bruce Pearl joins us next. Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All righty, we continue coast to coast on the Infinity Sports Network. It is the Zach Gelb Show. I feel like I've known Coach Bruce Pearl for almost 2 decades because when I was a kid growing up in Comac, New York on Long Island, I would see a big picture of his every day on the gym wall of mine because Coach is inducted into the Jewish Sports Hall of Fame, and that's where my gym was as a kid. And all these years later, nothing much has really changed because now I see Coach all over my TV screen because his number 1 ranked Auburn Tigers go into Alabama. They go up against the Crimson Tide on Saturday, and they get a huge victory over the number 2 ranked team in the country. And now joining us is the head basketball coach of the number 1 ranked Auburn Tigers, and that, of course, is our pal, Coach Bruce Pearl. Coach, appreciate the time. How you been?
It's great to be with you, Zach. Obviously, we've been pretty good, but as in my business, it's all about what we've done lately.
Yeah, well, lately was pretty damn good on Saturday. I know that you have a big game coming up against Cal and Arkansas. Usually when you have a 94-85 game, I'm not usually asking a defensive question right out of the gate, but I know you want to highlight Denver Jones, so please do that. Go ahead to a national audience.
Well, thank you, Zach. Look, you're right. Why would you be talking on your defense when you gave up 85? But if you can keep Alabama under 100 on their home floor, you've actually accomplished something. They're a great offensive team. Nate Oates has got a great offensive mind. They do a great job. And for the most part, we held them down from 3. And the key to that is obviously Mark Sears. He's such a great player. But Denver Jones is one of the best defensive guards in all of college basketball that nobody knows anything about. If you look at his matchup, Zach, he has won every single matchup all season long, except the young man at Florida, had a great game. And so Denver's able to sort of sit down and take away his penetration, have the size to contest from 3. And at the same time, Denver's been actually playing some point guard for us too as well. And he's always been a bucket getter. So thanks for a few seconds to promote Denver Jones to the Naismith all-defensive team.
I know you guys were a deep team going in. They kept on talking about it in the morning on game day. But then to see it in a 1-versus-2 matchup and how many different guys impacted your team to go get a victory. In this sport, I know a lot of times we highlight on individuals, but you got to be real happy just with how deep your team is.
Well, no, absolutely. We've got, Janai Broom who's right there for player of the year, and it's well-deserved because of, he's our leading scorer, our leading rebounder, our leading shot blocker, our leading assist guy, throwing the ball inside out of the post, so on and so forth. And the bench is something that you have to develop. And the fact that we have Tahad Pettiford, who I think is the best freshman point guard in the country, coming off the bench, Chaney Johnson, a Division II player that has developed an inside-outside powerhouse game through his incredible work ethic. And then because Chad Baker-Mazzara, who's one of our best players, has been so banged up and limited in practice and things like that, we just brought him off the bench so that he wouldn't have to play 30 minutes. And so you got those 3 guys coming off the bench. you're not dropping off. You're getting better.
I know that it was a game that you guys were in control, and you knew Alabama was eventually going to make their run. When it gets to 65-65 down the stretch, Tahad Pettiford in those final 7.5, 8 minutes was awesome. And he hits that three. He does the little celebration, then has a nice hard drive right to the basket. He's only a freshman, like you said. Has he always had this confidence all throughout the year? Because it's unbelievable to watch.
He has. He's been that way start to finish. From the first game we played at Houston all the way through, he's played our best against the best teams on our schedule. He's going to be one of those guys that undersized will play in the NBA. He absolutely will. And imagine this, Zach. He was ranked anywhere between 24 and 35 on every service. And to think that there were 23 or 34 high school players in college basketball right now.
Crazy.
Pettiford, there weren't. But he's 5'10". And so because he's only 5'10", therefore he gets ranked that way. And he's got a chip on his shoulder. And he just goes out there every day to prove the naysayers that size matters in basketball. It does. But with this guy, it doesn't.
Coach Bruce Pearl here with us. Auburn, #1 ranked in the country after their huge victory up against #2 Alabama in that 1-2 matchup. They have Arkansas coming up on Wednesday. You talked about the health of Chad Baker-Mazara and having him come off the bench. He came over a few years ago from San Diego State, now has been in your program for a while. Just how have you seen him grow when he first walked into your program to where he is today?
Well, I'll tell you what, Zach, he's one of the most versatile players in college basketball. He can guard 1 through 5. He can make plays for himself and others on both ends of the floor. He's got tremendous basketball IQ, plays with passion, energy. I just think that I can do so many things with him. I can put the ball in his hands. He can knock down threes. He can turn corners and have a pull-up game. He can score with either hand. He can get to the rim. He's one of the best foul shooters in the country. And he's a great playmaker. So, man, it makes it easy. Put the ball in his hands, give him some space, let him make plays, and he's going to make the right decision most of the time.
You're a relationships coach. Now it's tougher to form those relationships, and you've seen the transfer portal. You guys have kind of perfected it, and you've got guys to come in and they stay for a few years. We start with Janai Broom, who was coming over from Morehead State a few years ago. Just now having him under your watch for 3 years, and this coming to an end, and hopefully, right, it ends with a national championship and a long run in March Madness. Just what does he mean to you as a player?
Well, Zach, if that is the case, if it does end with a long run in March, Janai Broom will go down as the best transfer maybe in the history of college basketball. It's a strong statement, but he's won a regular season championship. We're in the running for a tournament, an SEC tournament championship. He's been in the NCAA back-to-back years. He was All-League his first year, All-American his second year, potentially Player of the Year this year, and all he's done is impact, winning. So we're about making history both for our team and for our individual. Look, we got a long way to go. We have 6 regular season games. We can win them all. We can lose every single one of them. That's just life in the SEC this year. So proud of our league for being as strong as it is. And then what it's done, Zach, is it's put this Auburn basketball team in a position to historically have one of the best regular seasons in the history of college basketball. We've got, I think, 13 or 14. I think it's 14 quad 1 wins. That's never happened in the regular season, ever, already. And we still got 6 games left to go, and I think all of them are quad 1s. So what an opportunity.
And also, you're not going to like to hear this because there's no such thing as a great loss, but even your losses, it's nothing to be embarrassed about whatsoever.
We've lost to Florida and Duke, 2 teams that are ranked 2nd and 3rd in the country. Yeah, but John Calipari comes here Wednesday with an Arkansas team that's good enough to beat anybody in the SEC. It was one of the teams that was picked at the top of the league. They're whether last 4 in or last 4 out or where they are, they need another signature win, and they're probably 1 win away against a team like Auburn of writing their ticket to the big dance. So they're going to come in here with their hair on fire.
Change is inevitable in this sport, Coach Bruce Pearl. You know that. Is it just bizarre, though, still? Is it an adjustment when you're going to look over at the sideline and you see Coach Cal in Arkansas red?
Well, seeing him in red's going to be different for sure, but I think it's another example. It's great for the league. Coach Pope coming in to Kentucky, great for Kentucky's program, and something just fresh because John had been there so long and done such a great job. And then Cal goes to Arkansas, revitalizes that program. So I just think that it's great. Obviously, for the game, and great for our fans, to be able to come in and see such great coaches and great players.
For your players that are still here from last year, which is a lot of them, right? You guys win an SEC championship and it just didn't go your way in that opening round game up against Yale. Now you fast forward almost a year later. I know there's still a lot of basketball to go, but what do you think your guys really took away from that performance up against Yale, and how do you maybe turn around coming up a year later?
One of the things I've always said is that Yale played well. We did not. We shot 50%. We played really well. We sent them to the foul line 31 times, which is way too much. And they beat us. It wasn't that we beat ourselves. So I'm very excited about it, and possibilities of learning from where we struggled and seeing if we can, have that one shining moment come March. Zach, listen, I got to run, man. It's so good to be with you. You do a phenomenal job, my friend. Thank you.
Yeah, I know you're busy, Coach. We appreciate it. Thanks for carving it in a few minutes.
Okay, you bet. Take care. War Eagle.
There he is, Coach Bruce Pearl with us. We know he was pressed for time. We only had 10 minutes with him, and we used up that time. And Coach, even when he said goodbye right on the phone call, has to go to a meeting before practice. So we appreciate Coach joining us. Always benevolent with his time when he joins us on the show. 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. Let me just squeeze in here right before Axe update. Anthony in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Anthony, what's happening? How you been, man?
Every day is a good day, brother. How you?
Doing fantastic. Well, I wasn't enjoying yesterday's NBA All-Star game and also on Saturday, but I've had some good food, some Italian on Saturday, some Chinese on Sunday, so that's how you make it a good day.
Hey, manja. Listen, speaking of the All-Star, I'm voting you for the slam dunk contest next year, Mr. Zach Gelb. The way you be throwing factoids on my man Chris, you got it on fire, brother. You on point. You up there.
Yeah, I could dunk someone in an argument. If you're expecting me to jump and dunk a basketball, I could grab the rim, and I could palm a basketball. But when it comes to the motion of palming a basketball, then running, jumping, and dunking the basketball, I've never been able to put that together for some reason, Anthony.
You're dunking them factoids. That's all that matters, brother. Be good.
We appreciate it. Thanks so much. That was funny. That was good stuff. I'll tell you, though, if they want me in the dunk contest, I'd be better than some of these other guys they've been throwing in there. I at least have somewhat of a name. Compared to some of these other guys. Jeez. That was a terrible dunk contest. Dunk contest, boring. 3-point contest, boring. Skills competition, boring. Next year, though, you know what? Well, I'll have Samter stand up. Stu will jump on Samter's shoulders, and then I'll go on top of Stu, and we'll make a mega human being, and then I will hoist Ack up on my shoulders, and we'll do the Zach Gelb Show dunk. And it'll be better than anything. You good, Ack? Could we find a way to get you in the right shape for a year from now to the dunk contest?
That's the only way I could dunk if I was on your shoulders.
Yeah, we could do that. We'll make a mega human. What was the movie Kicking and Screaming with Will Ferrell? When they run the play where they hoist up the little kid and they end up having a little header in that one. That's what we'll end up doing. We're on that play. We'll end up dunking the basketball. Better than what the NBA threw out there the other night. All right, well, come on back. I got one thing to say about Katie's future when we do return. But update time first. Here's Zach.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Well, there will be a rematch of Saturday's high-spirited game between the United States and Canada. This time, the two teams will meet in the final of the Four Nations hockey tournament. Canada preserved its spot with a 5-3 win over Finland, but had to sweat it out. Team Canada was in control until the Finns scored twice in 23 seconds late in the third to make it a one-goal game. But Sidney Crosby ended the hopes of a miraculous comeback with an empty net goal. Tonight, the United States completes the round-robin phase by meeting Sweden. The outcome of this one, though, irrelevant with the U.S. sitting both Matthew Tkachuk and Charlie McAvoy. Chris Kreider and Jake Sanderson take their place in the lineup. Bruce Pearl's Auburn Tigers remain the number one team in the nation in the latest AP Top 25 poll, while Florida moves up to 2. Duke remains third. The Blue Devils are on the road tonight looking for their third straight win. Also tonight, Arizona meets Baylor in Waco. The Angels are moving Mike Trout to right field, while Rafael Devers says he's not moving off third base, which is kind of interesting because Boston just signed free agent Alex Bregman away from the Houston Astros, and he's a Gold Glover, but the veteran Devers says he prefers to stay at third base. I'm Rich Ackerman.
The Infinity Sports Network is on your smart speaker. All you have to say is play Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Hey, this is Howie. And this is Nick. From the Backstreet Boys. And you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
It's time to answer the first question of the day, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Connor in LA says, Zach, if the Rams do trade Matthew Stafford, who should he want to get traded to? You can submit a question by tweeting at INF Sportsnet or at Zach Gelb using the hashtag AskThePros. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. I don't think the Rams are trading Matthew Stafford. Let me be clear. I think this is a contract negotiation game. I do eventually believe that they will get the deal done. But with that being said, I answer the question that's asked of me. If they were to trade him, where should he want to get traded to? And out of the realistic options, if the Giants are in play, the Jets are maybe even in play, the Steelers are in play, why wouldn't you want to go to the Steelers? You look at the Steelers, they just made the playoffs last year with basically no quarterback. You're telling me they can't make the playoffs and win a playoff game with Matthew Stafford? I think they can. Now, they got to patch up that offensive line, that's for sure. But since Big Ben retired, if you bring in Matthew Stafford, that would be their best chance to go win a playoff game. Not a Super Bowl, but win a playoff game since Big Ben has left the building. I still think Rodgers will wind up with the Steelers, and I do believe that Matthew Stafford is going to go back to L.A. But, outside of that, there's not a great destination for him. Why would you go to the Raiders? Why would you go to the Giants? Why would you go to Cleveland? Why would you want to get traded to Tennessee? None of these options are good. Where are you going to? Now, you want to tell me the Seahawks move off of Geno Smith, but that's in division. The Rams aren't trading you to Seattle. If you want to tell me, the Niners didn't want to get a deal done with Brock Purdy, we're going to Matthew Stafford to try to win a Super Bowl, but the Rams aren't trading him in division. Like, those are two good ones. You look at Minnesota, they got J.J. McCarthy. And I know you may not think J.J. McCarthy's going to be a great quarterback, but they just drafted him 10th overall. They're saying goodbye to Sam Darnold. I don't think they're going to then bring in Matthew Stafford. So there's really not a spot out there outside of the Steelers. I would say, okay, I'd be fine. But still, the Rams are the best spot for him. And, Stu, you're a Raiders fan. Would you be interested in Stafford for, Pete Carroll? You're on the short-term plan right here. But would that, for 2-3 more years, would you want Stafford? I guess you would, but...
Yeah, I would. I don't know if he'd want us, though.
He's the 7th best quarterback right now in football. 8th at most. But you're going to the Raiders behind what offensive line? No running backs. And, yeah, you got Brock Bowers, who's a stud. So, it's like, are the Rams really just going to trade him to trade him? Are they going to throw him to the Giants? They got to throw him to the Raiders? Now, if you get trade him, it's going to go to the Steelers. But still, if you're the Rams... This is what I said earlier. Who are you replacing Stafford with right now? Because, right, would you agree with this, Stu? If you get rid of Stafford, just go to a cheap Kirk Cousins, or you end up going with a cheap Russell Wilson. Does that make any sense? It doesn't make sense for those two names, right? So the only name out there would be Sam Darnold if maybe Sean McVay just wanted to reset the time clock at the quarterback position and it's younger. But Sam... this past year had Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, had a really good regular season. And then after that Packers game where he was awesome, had a stinker at the end of the year up against the Lions and then stunk up against who? Who they play in the postseason? Oh, yeah, the Minnesota Vikings. The LA Rams. Minnesota Vikings play the LA Rams. So it's like, you just saw him. Why would you then want him? Is that ego by Sean McVay? So I don't know about you, Stu. I don't think Stafford is actually available. And I heard Adam Schefter on with our pal Pat Leonard, who did a very nice article, by the way. Pat Leonard, full page New York Daily News about our interview from the Super Bowl with Myles Garrett. I didn't even know about it. And then someone sent it to me, the paper, and it was a great article. Full page of New York Daily News about Myles Garrett. And our interview with him about him potentially going to the Eagles and the rich getting richer. But I heard Pat Leonard had Adam Schefter on his podcast, and Schefter goes, I still think the preference is to get a deal done with the Rams. But he made it clear, if the Giants end up trading for him, they're not giving up the number 3 overall pick. That's not happening. So everything right there for the Rams makes sense to keep him. I don't know about you. I think this is one of those stories where it's speculation. It's kind of like Brandon Ayuk, not exactly the same, where it was like, oh, he's going to get traded. And that was a lot more contentious. And you don't have to give him that big of a deal. But I do think a deal's going to get done here still.
Just doesn't make sense. There's not a guy behind him that's young on the depth chart. There's not a guy that they can get that's young. Like, okay, you want to get Justin Fields? Is that something that's like enticing? No, right?
I don't even know if Justin Fields is good.
Yeah. They don't have a pick high enough to get one of these quarterbacks. Unless
you have too much to lose here with the Rams. They got a core that is not that far away from winning another Super Bowl.
As you saw in the playoffs this year.
Yeah. Samson, what were you smirking about, by the way? I saw you at the corner of my eye. You were smirking during this conversation. Did you have a hot take or something?
No, I'm just enjoying the back and forth.
Oh, okay. I don't know. You had like a mischievous look on your face that I thought you were up to like no good there, and you're about to say something that was explosive.
I'm always up to no good.
Yeah, especially when you dress with that ski cap, you look like you're about to go rob a bank. There's no doubt about that. All right, I saw one more thing, and I saw Scoop B. Robinson. He had this out that Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving would love to be teammates once again. Oh, again? KD, you're the biggest moron on the planet if you're going to trust Kyrie again. And I know Kyrie, right, has settled down a little bit. He hasn't been a problem with Dallas. He's probably going to leave after this year, I would imagine. You can't go hitch your wagon to Kyrie Irving again. After he was the reason why it didn't work out in Brooklyn. Kyrie Irving, it won't happen now because Jimmy Butler just got traded. Kevin Durant, it won't happen now because Jimmy Butler just got traded to Golden State. His biggest mistake was leaving Golden State. But at the time, to be fair, everyone's like, oh, you got to go win a real ring. And he got sensitive to that. And he elected to say, okay, I'm going to go prove people wrong. And he didn't do it. But when he left Brooklyn, he should have just crawled back to Golden State. Because you made a villain move, and you didn't want to be the villain. You got sensitive to the criticism. If you would have just kept on winning and given the middle finger to people, eventually people would just have to respect you. But KD's tweet today is just typical KD. This is what makes him so unlikable. I think it's more fun to complain about the NBA than to actually watch it. Crazy cancel All-Star Weekend, and let's just give everybody a break since we're so miserable around this time. Oh, KD. Most of your fellow NBA players, I sound like my fellow NBA players, my fellow Americans, you spit in the faces of the fans. You guys treat the fans horribly. You barely give a rat's ass to the regular season product. So what do you expect, people? Like, I don't expect the All-Star game to be good. But when you continuously spit in someone's face, what do you just want them to continue to take it? So Durant, it's typical sensitivity by NBA players. Oh, everyone's complaining about what we're doing. Well, how about you just try? All right? I'm not asking you to run through hula hoops. I'm not asking you to be great. Just look like you care. Just look like you care. All righty. Big thanks to Bruce Pearl. Big thanks to legendary Roy Williams. We'll be back tomorrow. Super Bowl champion Avante Maddox will join us on Tuesday. Super Bowl champion Cooper DeJean, or as I like to call him, Cooper DeJean. He's going to stop by Wednesday. We'll do a whole lot more football throughout the rest of the week. Stu, Sam, great job back. Great job each every one of you listening to us however you may be and also watching us on YouTube. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. We out. Bye-bye.